All right, welcome to the 4th annual LAUSD-ABOTA mock trial. How's everyone doing? Who's ready to get entertained by some of the best trial lawyers in the state of California? Come on, let's hear it. Yeah, there we go. All right, so we are so excited to have you all here. Thank you for coming. Thank you for making it. We're still missing a couple high schools. They'll trickle in. The judge may yell at them. Who knows? You guys were here on time, so that's important. Thank you. But anyway, what I want to tell you is that this is our 4th year doing this. So once you get a certificate, you're all going to get a certificate for the first time ever, a Rising Trial Advocate certificate. You will be the 800th students to get this. So we are very proud of this. We are very honored to have you here. We hope that you have a fun, educational, entertaining time watching these fabulous trial lawyers do a trial in action. Before I show this quick video, though, as is tradition, I want to show of hands. Who here has an interest in being a lawyer, being a judge, or involved in the law? Raise your hands high. Let's see them. All right, that's good. Hold on, keep them up. All right, let the record reflect. I see about 20%. Is that fair? 20%. Okay, let's take note of that. All right, I may ask that question again later. So with that, please watch this video on the importance of the right to trial by jury. The right to trial by jury is one of the most sacred rights we have as Americans. It doesn't matter your race, ethnicity, where you were born, what you look like, who you are. It gives you a right in a courtroom to achieve justice.
Our forefathers, in their collective wisdom, decided on the 7th Amendment to our Constitution. They felt and believed that it would be fairer for individuals to be judged by people in the community, and that's how it started. I believe when people come together in a jury, having people of different backgrounds, different professions, different ages, different diversities helps the collective wisdom.
I've heard a judge say that the civil jury system here in the United States is the best because, unfortunately, one person can be corrupted, maybe even 2. But to have 12 jurors together deciding an issue, they are uncorruptible. And that concept of justice being blind and the scales of justice prevailing and the people with the stronger evidence actually being heard actually comes true with this system of justice and with this concept of having zealous and great lawyers advocating for both sides.
So what is ABOTA? First of all, it stands for American Board of Trial Advocates. Started years ago by only trial lawyers, but what's unique is they were all trial lawyers, but they wanted to preserve the right to the 7th Amendment and preserve civility, and that's become more and more prevalent in these days. So what are we doing here today? We're doing a mock trial based on a real trial years ago. And you're going to get to see terrific plaintiffs' lawyers, defense lawyers, and Judge Birdsong. So this is going to take you through very quickly a civil jury trial where you're going to hear a little bit about jury selection. It's called voir dire. And then we're going to have opening statements by both sides. Then a few witnesses, direct exam, cross-examination by fantastic lawyers, and then closing arguments. And it's just going to be a great little snapshot into what a real trial is with real trial lawyers who really care about what they do and who really care about their clients.
The attributes of a trial lawyer are really authentic and being true to yourself. If you can't be honest with yourself as to who you are, you can't be honest with total strangers as to really anything.
You have to be quick on your feet. You have to be able to focus on several things at the same time. You have to be able to change directions. You have to be what I call nimble, meaning that you change paths. If you find, for example, you're cross-examining a witness and you can tell that you're not being effective.
Trial lawyer is someone who fights for the rights of the little guy.
Even though we're adverse and we're battling and we believe in our case and we advocate for our client, at the end of the day, we're human beings. And we believe in helping each other, being civil, and being professional.
What we want to do is we want to encourage people, particularly at the high school level, to be interested in the law in general, but specifically to be trial attorneys.
Today, you're going to see a real trial in action. You're going to see our Constitution and our right to trial by jury come alive. So, Madam Clerk, can you please bring in these two great judges of ours? But what I want you to know is that we're about to hear a few remarks from some remarkable people in a second before we start this trial. But I want you to remember that these two rows are going to be doing jury selection, but every single one of you is going to be a juror in this case. And as a juror, that means you got to listen to all the evidence and pay attention and see the witness. Is the witness telling the truth? Are they being honest? Do I believe them? Do I believe the attorneys? All these things you're going to have to analyze. So you're going to have to pay attention and watch it because you're all involved, going to make a decision. All right, with that, if we could bring Judge Tapia. So the first person we're going to hear from, we're very lucky to have him here. Judge Tapia is a presiding judge. What that means is that his picture is going to be right there at the bottom. He is the top judge for LA County. LA County Superior Court is the biggest court system in the entire country, and he's the head of it. So we're very honored to have Judge Tapia come and share some remarks with you. He's born in Hawthorne, went to Southwestern Law School, was a trial lawyer himself, tried over 150, 200 cases, something like that. But without further ado, here's Judge Tapia, the presiding judge of LA County Superior Court.
Thank you very much for the kind introduction. Good morning, muy buenos dias. How's everybody doing? Great. Wonderful. I did want to correct something. I did not go to Southwestern. I went to Berkeley, and then I went to the University of Iowa. And you're probably saying, what is a short Mexican doing in the state of Iowa? Long story, I will not bore you. Excellent school, if you look at U.S. News and World Reports. So I want to welcome you to this mock trial, because this is not really about a mock trial. It's really a window into an experiment that this country has been conducting for 250 years, which is the experiment called democracy. And you are going to get to experience today one of the pillars of our democracy, which is the right to a jury trial, which is ensured by the 7th Amendment to the United States Constitution. It is a right that we fought to protect. We are fortunate to still live in a democracy where disputes are not settled in the street, where when there is a conflict, a disagreement, people walk in through courtroom doors and settle their disputes in a civil manner. That is what you're going to get to witness when you see this mock trial. But it's so much more than that. Because if you really pay attention to what is happening, it is about life skills that you are going to get to observe, to stand up, to speak, to think critically, to be aware of everything that is going on. That is what you are going to get to experience when you get to witness this mock trial. But there's something even more important that I believe you can get from this incredibly valuable experience. And I think it's an opportunity for you to see what your potential is. Some of you may be thinking, I saw you raise your hands earlier about thoughts about becoming a lawyer and a judge, and that's great. And for those of you that still don't know what you want to do, perfect. Take your time. Do you. Because you have to do something that works for you and what you care about. And it may be in the law, it might not. But pay attention to what happens today, because no matter what you decide to do, whether you want to be a doctor, a teacher, you want to go and create art, be an actor, whatever you want to do, understand that our justice system, which you will witness here today, doesn't happen around you. It happens through all of us, because we all bear a responsibility, a civic duty to participate in our democracy. It could be as simple as voting, or it could mean serving as a juror for one of these trials. Or if you are lucky enough and passionate enough about it, to be one of these wonderful advocates and lawyers, and even the judge presiding over a dispute that regular citizens have every day. So I'm hopeful that today you will pay attention, you will engage with this process, you will look around at your peers, at the lawyers, the wonderful lawyers here in this room, the judge, and everybody else that is here. They are here today because they believe in each and every one of you. They believe in your potential. They believe that you represent hope for a better future in this country. So I hope you enjoy this opportunity, because I will tell you, when I was growing up, I didn't know a single lawyer. I'm the first in my family to go to college, first to go to law school. The first time I actually met a lawyer, I was already in college. And he was a great lawyer, but you don't know what you don't know. I didn't know who he was. It wasn't until years later I realized, oh my God, that guy that I met was a very famous lawyer. You get to experience this today in your teens. So take advantage of this opportunity. And that opportunity sometimes means just listening and observing, and that's okay. Engage with the people around you. Take advantage of these fabulous lawyers, the experience. And I'm going to leave you with this. How many of you are Kendrick Lamar fans? Okay, a couple. Don't be shy. How many of you are familiar with the song DNA? All right. So, you know, one of the beauties of Kendrick Lamar, who I believe is one of the great poets of modern times, is that he talks about something that I think speaks to what we're trying to accomplish here today. And I wrote it down because I don't want to mess it up. Okay, so he talks about the power of hard work and ambition. And there is a lyric in DNA that speaks to that. So it's not just about learning from lawyers. You can learn from musicians too, your favorite artists. But in his song DNA, he says, I got hustle, though ambition flow inside my DNA. That speaks to hard work and ambition. Everything that I think you need to be successful. I hope you enjoy today. I hope you would take advantage of this opportunity. And I hope more than anything, you just enjoy the day. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you very much, Judge Tapia. It's an honor to have you. The next person we're going to have speak is actually from LAUSD. So he's an attorney. He's with the General Counsel's Office, the chief executive to the General Counsel, Alex Molina, who did go to Southwestern, right? Oh, there we go. I got one right. Jesus. Bad. All right, come on.
Thank you, Dan. Welcome to the 4th Annual ABOTA mock trial. And my name is Alex Molina. I am the Chief Executive in the General Counsel's Office here at LA Unified. The General Counsel's Office is essentially the legal department for the school district. As you know, LAUSD is the largest school district in the state of California. And we have about 45 attorneys working in-house. That may seem like a huge number to you, but we actually have other attorneys that we work with in law firms, given the multitude of issues that we have to deal with on a day-to-day basis. I've been practicing for over 32 years, which, yeah, I know, I'm old. But in my mind, I still remember what it was like sitting in your seats. In my mind, I remember thinking about getting ready to graduate from high school and figuring out what I'm going to do afterwards. I knew I was going to college, but I didn't know I was going to law school and become an attorney. And so what we're hoping today is that through this experience, it will help motivate you, inspire you, spark some interest in you, and potentially consider going to law school and becoming an attorney. So for today, as you saw in the video, we will have jury selection and then opening statements. And during opening statements, that's the opportunity for each side to tell you their story, to tell you and give you a preview of what you're going to hear during the mock trial today, to kind of give you an introduction. And then after that, we'll have witnesses testify on the stand. So when they take the stand, I want you to focus on the questions that are being asked of the witness. And ask yourself, why are they asking that question? What is that information they're trying to elicit from that witness? And how does that help tell the story that they want to tell you? And then when the other side goes up and cross-examines the witness, do the same thing. Why are they asking those questions? Why is that attorney trying to convince you not to trust what that witness has said? And fast forward to the very end, we will have closing arguments. That's the last opportunity that each side gets to tell you why you need to vote for them. Because as Dan Kramer said earlier, at the end of this trial, you get to decide who wins? Do you believe the plaintiff or do you believe the defense? So I wish you a good day and pay attention so that way you can vote what you think should happen in this lawsuit. Before I end, I do want to give special thanks to ABOTA for sponsoring and doing this mock trial for us. Special thanks to Dan Kramer, Chris Omei, to Raul Ravipudi, Linda Starr, and to all the attorneys you'll be hearing from today for donating their valuable time. And after today, you might think, wow, these attorneys are really great. I can never do what they do. But that's okay, because they have spent years fine-tuning and sharpening their trial skills. And with the proper education and proper training, you will get there yourself. And by the way, these are the attorneys who command hourly rates that they bill several hundreds of dollars per hour, some of them over $1,000 per hour. If that doesn't motivate you to potentially exploring going and becoming an attorney, I don't know what will. Also, thank you to Judge Birdsong that you'll hear from in a second for presiding over this proceeding. Thank you to LA Superior Court for hosting this wonderful event. And last thing I'm going to ask of you is to help show your gratitude and appreciation and give these guys a round of applause.
Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it. Thank you, Alex. All right. Who wants to start the trial, huh? Let's get this show on the road, yeah? But before we do, Los Angeles, is it Los Angeles High School? All right, I asked this question of them. What I want to know is how many of you are considering or maybe thinking about going into law, being a lawyer, a judge? All right, we got one more. Okay, so remember that. We had 20%. I think now we're down to 18%, all right, of the whole group. But I'm going to ask that question again. I appreciate that, though, man. All right, with that, this case is about to start. As soon as that judge walks out of here, we're officially in the trial, okay? So, Madam Clerk, can we please bring the Judge Rupert Birdsong to the bench? Thank you. All rise. Never said that before. It's exciting.
Good morning. Have a seat. I have just 1 minute, only 60 seconds in it. Forced upon me, can't refuse it. Didn't seek it, didn't choose it, but it's up to me to use it. I'm a suffer if I lose it. Give an account if I abuse it. Just one tiny little minute, but eternity is in it. Little did you know that when you woke up this morning that you would be in a position to literally change the world. Not just because you're going to be deciding this case, but because your participation in this process is what makes this country the best country in the world. We have this process, this legal process, this judicial system wherein people have disputes. And guess what? We cannot resolve them without you being here. You're the most important people in this room. More important than the lawyers, even more important than the guy who's talking to you in the black robe. See, today, your presence matters. Today, your participation matters. Today, your perspective matters. Who's familiar with a jigsaw puzzle, right? You get the puzzle and you put the pieces on the board, and then you look at the cover of the box and you try to make the pieces to look like the box. Well, that's really what we're asking you to do as jurors, to put together a puzzle, the catch. The difference between a regular jigsaw puzzle and what you're going to be doing here today is you do not know what the picture looks like beforehand. So the lawyers will give you the pieces, the lawyers will argue what the pieces look like, but only you get to decide what the puzzle looks like. It's a very, very important task. And guess what? You don't have to even like what the picture looks like. So if we have cat lovers, dog lovers, right? They don't coincide. If this is going to be a picture of a cat, which I don't know, but if this is a picture of a cat and you're a dog lover, does that mean you can't sit on this case because you don't like cats? No, your role is not to be whether I like cats or dogs. Your role is to put together a puzzle and just tell us what it looks like. Does that make sense? Y'all buying into that? And you have to keep an open mind. So the lawyers, they're going to be giving you their spiel, their perspective of what this puzzle looks like, but only you get to decide. But the only way that we can do this fairly is if you wait until the end. My definition of a fair juror is someone who will wait and hear all of the evidence before deciding, that they will then discuss everything that they saw before deciding, and that their decision is only based on what they saw and discussed. That's a very straightforward package, and I know all of you will do well to do that. So we're going to have a process where the lawyers will get to ask you questions to make sure that you're a fair juror. But as I said, I think anyone can be fair if you are able to put together a puzzle. Doesn't matter what you do, what you bring to the table. Anybody can put together a puzzle. This picture looks like this. Whether you're a Laker fan or a Clipper fan or a Dodger fan or a Giants fan, right? It doesn't matter. The picture is the picture. And I think you will find it fascinating when you talk about what the lawyers are offering and how you reach your conclusion. But again, we can't do this without you. This is very, very important. If we're not able to use people from the community to help us resolve these disputes, those disputes would not get resolved. So feel very special today, because indeed you are. You're very, very special, and we absolutely care what you think and what you will decide this morning and throughout the day. Okay, so if I could have my assistant to just swear you in for your qualifications. Yes. First two rows, please stand up.
Please raise your right hand to be sworn. Do you and each of you understand and agree you accurately and truthfully answer under penalty of perjury all questions propounded to you concerning your qualifications and competency to serve as a trial juror in the matter pending before this court, and that failure to do so may subject you to criminal prosecution? I do. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to give you what was called the statement of the case. This is a snapshot of what the case is about that the lawyers have agreed to. It's not evidence. It's just what they want you to go into this case thinking about what they're going to prove. But this is just a statement. It is opening day 2021 at Dodger Stadium. The Dodgers face off against their longtime rivals, the Giants. Both teams are entering the season with championship hopes, and the energy in the stadium is electric. The game itself is a nail-biter, going back and forth until the Dodgers clinch a dramatic walk-off victory in the final inning. As fans begin to leave the stadium, tensions flare. Heated verbal exchanges break out between supporters of both teams in the parking lot. One such encounter involves Mr. Smith, a visiting Giants fan and professional firefighter, who gets into a dispute with two Dodger fans. The confrontation quickly escalates into a violent altercation. Mr. Smith is attacked and brutally beaten by the two Dodger fans, resulting in a traumatic brain injury that is both severe and permanent. The attackers are later arrested and are currently serving prison sentences for the assault. Mr. Smith, through his attorneys, has filed a civil lawsuit against the Dodgers Baseball Club and its owner, Frank McCool. The suit alleges that the defendants are liable for failing to provide adequate security on the premises, a failure that they argue directly contributed to Mr. Smith's injuries. In response, the Dodgers and Mr. McCool assert that they took all reasonable measures to ensure fan safety and that the criminal acts of the individuals involved were unforeseeable and solely to blame. They contend that justice has already been served through the incarceration of the perpetrators. This case will be presented as a full mock trial from jury selection to closing arguments. Top trial attorneys from the Los Angeles chapter of the American Board of Trial Advocates, LA-ABOTA, will lead the proceedings. And you, the students, you will play the active role throughout the trial process, including participation in voir dire, jury selection, examination of witnesses, and ultimately the jury's deliberation and verdict. Are counsel prepared to begin their inquiry with the prospective jurors?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. So we can just start by just having everybody to just state your name and your occupation, and then the lawyers will inquire.
My name is Shohei, S-H-O-H-E-I, Betts, B-E-T-T-S, and I am a museum curator at LACMA, and I'm 43 years old.
Hello. My name is Lucy Douglas. I'm currently working part-time at the mall and earning a bachelor's degree at Cal State University in Long Beach to become a veterinarian. I've never been part of a jury before.
Make sure you state your name and your age and your occupation, please.
I'm 22 years old.
Good morning. My name is Kylie Jenner. I'm a business owner for a cosmetic line. I am 32 years old with 2 kids, and I've never been a juror before.
Hi, good morning. I'm Kim Kardashian. I'm a business owner. I'm 43 years old, and I've never been a juror before.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Will Smith. My occupation is being an actress, and my age is 54, and I've never been in a mock trial.
Good morning. My name is Alexandra Weiss. I'm 72. I'm a nurse anesthetist, and my husband is a lawyer, and I've served on 2 juries, 1 criminal, 1 civil, and we reached verdicts in each.
Hi, my name is Cindy. I'm 22 years old. I work at a museum, and I've never been a juror before.
Hello, my name is Stephanie. I am 32 and I'm currently unemployed.
Good morning. My name is Joseph Dan Bravo. I'm a retired colonel in the Army. I work at security right now. I've served as a juror in a couple of court-martials. 64.
Good morning. My name is Quetzal Aurora. I am a daycare assistant, and I am 24 years old.
Good morning. My name is Jeff Jeffries. I'm 67 years old, and I am a used car salesman. And I have never served on a jury.
Okay. Counsel, you may proceed.
Miss Cindy, what's your last name? I'm sorry? Oh.
A-R-A-G-O-N.
Aragon? Yes. And Stephanie, what is your last name?
My last name is Smith.
Sorry, I did not get your last names when you guys were giving me your backgrounds. Well, welcome and thank you. Before we start, I want you to know, since you're all students and we're going to break a little role play, that thank you for being here and thank you for being a part of this process. It's not your usual class. You're being part of a mock trial, and you're going to get some real life experience in what it feels like to be asked questions of jurors. So thank you for being here and thank you for taking it seriously. So what is going on here is not a test. I want to know what your real opinions are. We really need you to be really honest, regardless if you think it's something I want to hear, and especially if it's something against my client. So I am here representing the plaintiff, Mr. Smith, Mike Smith, through his parents, who are his conservator because he's severely disabled, and I have a team, along with Daniel DeSantis, Ebieri Sect, Christian Contreras, and BJ Abron, who's currently not here, but you will meet him in a minute. And we represent the family of this disabled person. So what is it that I need from you? I need you to tell me what you think I don't want to hear. I need you to be completely honest, because the only way this system works is if we get a fair jury. And it's by fair, I mean for both sides. And that's all we want. Fair? Deal? That you're going to tell me exactly how you feel? Okay? Because what we want to get from you is if you have any biasness. For example, I'm going to start. Any of you Dodger fans? Okay? Now, any of you hate the Giants because you're Dodger fans? Okay? Kind of. Okay. And because those of you that raised, keep your hands raised if you're Dodger fans. Okay. Ms. Kardashian. Because you're a Dodger fan, does that mean that your team can do no wrong? No. You're not ride or die?
Like, no, they can't do no wrong.
Right. So for you, it doesn't matter what they do, you'll still vote for them.
Well, it depends.
Depends on the situation? So you'll wait to hear what they had to say before you decide that the Dodgers are always right?
Okay. Use the mic, please. We can hear you. Sorry.
Well, I just have to know the situation to it.
Okay. Ms. Jenner, do you feel the same?
No.
No? Tell me a little bit more about what you think.
I think, oh gosh, I don't know. I think that.
Do you want me to help you out a little bit? Okay. So the question I had asked is, since you're a Dodgers fan, do you feel that you'll vote for them no matter what they've done?
No.
No. So you can be impartial.
Yeah.
So you'll wait to hear what the evidence is before you decide one way or another, regardless if on the weekends you wear Dodger blue.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Mr. Betts.
Yes. Good morning.
Good morning. Similar question. Are you a diehard, do you bleed blue?
Absolutely.
Kind of like my dress?
Yeah.
It was unintentional, by the way. Because, you know, we're suing them. But do you believe that the Dodgers can do no wrong?
On the field, I don't think they can do any wrong, but, you know, outside of that, I think I could be fair and listen to all the evidence.
Perfect. Now, I want you to pass the microphone over to Mr. Bravo. Oh, there's a microphone. Mr. Bravo, similar question. Are you a diehard Dodger fan where it doesn't matter what they do, you can never vote against them?
Morning, ma'am. Yes.
Yes?
Well, I mean, I'm a diehard Dodger fan, but I'll be fair in this case.
And when you say you're a diehard Dodger fan, what does that mean to you?
Well, you know, I've been a fan since I was a little kid. My dad used to take me to Dodger Stadium. Love them, big part of my family. But this is different here.
Okay. So you're willing to listen to all the evidence before you make a decision one way or another?
Try to figure out that puzzle.
Okay. Any of you that did not raise your hand, do you dislike the Dodgers? Yes. Ms. Weiss.
It's not so much that I dislike them, I just hate baseball.
Okay.
Sorry.
That doesn't matter. So can you put aside the feelings of dislike? Actually, let me take that back. On a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you dislike baseball?
10 plus.
10 plus, okay.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. You're entitled to your opinion, and I'm glad that you're being honest with me in this situation. Now, because this does deal with a case at a baseball stadium, are you able to put aside those feelings, the strong feelings of dislike, in order to listen to what happened before you can make a decision on this case?
Absolutely.
Okay, great. Now, all of you, raise your hand if you have ever been to a high school football game. Any of you? Okay, great. Now, Ms. Jenner, sorry to put you on the hot seat. Actually, let's skip. Ms. Menendez. Mendez? No? Lucy? No, sorry. No, what is your fake name? Oh, okay. Lucy, for you. Sorry, I wrote down the wrong last name. Lucy, when you've been to those high school football games, tell me what it feels like. Is it loud?
It's very loud.
Okay. Was there a rival school?
Yes.
Okay. Tell me about that experience at a high school football game with a rival team.
Even though I didn't know much about them, I knew that others disliked them. So it felt good that we beat them.
Okay, great. Now, in that high school football rival game, were the emotions high? Could you feel that people were like on
It was
edge?
intense the entire time.
Yeah. Did you ever feel that did you ever see a fight?
No.
No, you didn't? Have you ever been in a situation where you've seen two people fight?
Yes.
Okay. And in those types of situations, sorry. Do you feel that sometimes just bad things happen without any warning?
Yeah.
Okay. And tell me a little bit more about that situation where you saw people fight.
Well, I just watched from a distance.
Okay.
I didn't feel like intervening at all. It's not my business.
What was the setting? Was it at school? Was
School.
it at school? Okay. Was security around?
Not at first.
Okay. Do you feel that if security had been around, that fight might not have happened?
I think it would have happened still.
It still would have happened.
Yep.
Okay. Anyone else feel that way? That regardless of whether security was around, that a fight would have still happened? Raise your hand. Okay. Ms. Aragon, can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Oh, I feel like either way, like there's many people that, or like kids in general or students, that even if there's like people around, they won't care, they'll still do it. If they're angry, they're angry.
Okay. Because the emotions are high, that they're so heated that it doesn't matter who's around?
Yes.
Anyone feel a little different than that? That if security is around, a fight might just not happen? Okay. Mr. Jeffries.
Yes, good morning. Yeah, I feel like tensions run high at sports games, rivalry games, and sometimes if you're the owner of the property, you should have people there to keep other people in line in case things get out of hand. So.
And if things get out of hand, do you feel that the responsibility is on the two people that got into a fight or the property owner?
Maybe a toss-up,
Maybe close to equal?
It's the people fighting, at the end of the day, they're the ones responsible, but if you're just letting,
Objection, Your Honor. Preconditioning?
Arguing the case.
Sustained. Keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, the reason why you're here is because you need to hear the evidence. So while we appreciate the lawyers trying to ask the questions, the evidence is what's going to decide this verdict. So as I said, wait until you hear the information. Discuss what you've heard and then tell us what you heard and discussed. If you do that, I think all of you can be fair.
I have one more question for all of you because our time is limited. Does anyone here feel that if alcohol is involved, it doesn't matter that what happens to that person, it is their fault? No one? You kind of raising your hand. So tell me a little bit about that.
I feel like there's like many people that are able to control their alcohol, and I feel like if too much is consumed, then they just like lose track of what they're doing, and it becomes a problem with the person if both person drank or maybe just one.
And if the one person, if both people are drinking but one gets injured, would you immediately vote against the person that got injured because they were drinking?
I mean, it really depends because I feel like the stadium is kind of like they should keep track of how much they're drinking because there should be a certain limit because if not, then stuff like that would happen.
So you brought in a different issue. So you think that the establishment that is giving the alcohol to the patrons should bear a little bit of a responsibility. Thank you all. I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Bremer, who represents the stadium and the owners.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Keith Bremer. I represent Frank McCool and the Los Angeles Dodgers. I want to say that there's no question that the Los Angeles Dodgers feel absolutely terrible about what happened. There's no question that Mr. Smith was seriously injured, catastrophically, and it'll be a lasting injury, and there's no question that it happened on our property, and we feel terrible about that. But I want to make it clear, it's our position that we bear no responsibility for what happened. While we feel bad about it, we believe that we're not responsible. And that's what this case is all about. We take the position that the two individuals, the two criminals, and the plaintiff who had a .18 BAC are responsible for what happened in this accident. That being said, what we all want to do in this case is we want to find a fair and impartial jury. And you guys are going to be the judges of the facts, and that should be pretty exciting. There's nothing greater in terms of power or authority but to be judges. And in this case, you guys are going to be the judges of the facts. And the judge, he's going to give you the law that you must follow. And the question is, can you as the judges of the facts follow the judge's law and be fair and impartial? And so what we're doing in voir dire, a search for truth is what that means, is to determine whether or not you can be fair and impartial. Not every juror is going to be perfect for every case. So for example, I can't stand apple pies, so I would be a terrible pie eating contest judge, for lack of a better understanding. Does anybody here feel that what they've heard so far, for whatever reason, they couldn't be fair and impartial? Does anyone have that impression already, one way or the other? That's great. What we want is we want to have two horses at the starting gate at the exact same time, two blank pieces of paper, and that you get all of your information from the witness stand through evidence and facts. Does everyone understand that? Anyone have any questions? So in terms of being fair and impartial, is anyone here a Dodger fan? Talked about that. Yes, Mr. Betts, correct? Nice to meet you. Mr. Betts, do you believe, notwithstanding that you're a Dodger fan, that you can put that aside and you can decide this case and be fair and impartial?
Yeah, definitely. As I said, I think on the field, I'm a diehard Dodger fan. They can do no wrong. But outside of that, I can definitely consider all of the evidence and try to be fair.
Great, thank you. Mr. Bravo, I think you raised your hand as well. You're a Dodger fan as well?
Yes, sir.
And are you able, now listen, this is hard to do, right? Because we all have prejudices. Everybody has prejudices, and that's okay. But the question is, can you put those prejudices aside and listen to this case and be fair and impartial? Mr. Bravo, are you able to do that? Yes. And understand that you're a security guard, part-time in your retirement?
I'm a consultant.
A consultant. And you're going to hear from security guards in this case. Do you believe that that will influence you in any way, or do you believe you can still remain fair and impartial?
I'll remain fair and impartial, but I want to know what they say.
That sounds great. Lucy, I think you said you're a Dodger fan. Notwithstanding your love for the Dodgers, do you think that's something you can put aside? Okay. Listen, I started off talking to you by saying that we acknowledge that what happened was terrible. It was a nightmare, and we feel super bad for Mr. Smith. And you're going to hear a lot of testimony about his brain injury and his injury and things like that. And that tugs at your emotions, and it's going to be hard to set that aside. One of the instructions that the judge is going to give you is that you can't decide this case based on sympathy, passion, or emotion. You have to base your decision on the facts and evidence that you get from the witness stand. That all sounds great, but it's pretty hard to do, right? I'm going to walk through those doors, and I'm going to put my emotions and my passion in a box, and I'm going to come in here. But I want you to appreciate, and then we can talk about it, that what we want is you want to hear the evidence of what happened in this case, because we all have prejudices and we all have emotion, but we want you to decide this case based on what you hear in terms of evidence, in terms of responsibility for what happened, not just because we feel sorry for somebody. I'm terrible at this. I'm a super emotional person. I carry my emotions on my shoulders, and it'd be tough, but I understand what the law wants. Anyone confused by that? Raise your hand if you're confused. Anybody feel that they'd have a hard time setting their emotions aside, their sympathy aside, but just listening to this case and accepting the evidence and the facts that comes in, notwithstanding how you might feel bad that Mr. Smith was tragically injured in this case? Raise your hand if you'd have a hard time doing that. Mr. Jeffries, I appreciate that. Do you understand what we're talking about? So the judge is going to give you the law, and one of the laws he's going to give you is that, hey, you have to put sympathy aside. We want you to base this case based on the facts and circumstances, not just because we feel sorry for one party or another, for one way or the other. Do you think that's something you could do, or do you think that you'd have a tough time, and maybe knowing that Mr. Smith had this terrible injury, you might put his horse a little bit ahead in the starting gate?
I might have some issues. My brother got beat up at a hockey game, and it was really upsetting for me. So I already feel like, just hearing about these facts makes me a little upset at the Dodger Stadium.
Yeah. I very much appreciate your candor with regard to that. So fair to state, to some degree, the horse is a little bit ahead for Mr. Smith because you have a prior experience that you carry with you, and you have a little emotion and passion that's going to be very hard to put in the box as you come in. Is that a fair comment?
I wouldn't say horse is ahead. I just feel like I'm, just hearing some of these facts makes me a little bit upset, I guess.
Let me interject a moment. I want to make everyone to be clear that reacting to evidence, if it evokes an emotional response, if it's based on the evidence, that's okay. Some people get confused thinking, if I hear this, then I'm going to be mad. Your job is actually to react to the evidence. What we don't want, and what the lawyers are trying to clarify, is that you haven't already prejudged the case, because we've heard snapshots, but we haven't heard any evidence. So as far as I'm concerned, everybody is at square one. It's only until you hear evidence that moves the ball. And why do we keep an open mind, though? Because if you get a few pieces of evidence, okay, it's red. Oh, this is a picture of an apple. I'm just going to stop listening and I'm going to say it's an apple. But you get a few more pieces of the puzzle. This red now could be the side of a fire engine. Okay, this is going to be a picture of a fire engine. I'm going to stop listening. Wait a minute. More evidence comes in, and now this red, it could be a barn. That's why it's very important to wait until you get all of the pieces, and then you all sit down together like, okay, we got this piece of red, this piece of red, this piece of red. What do you think? And in that process, 9 of you will come to a conclusion, and that's a righteous verdict. So I hope everybody understands the difference between reacting to evidence and this reacting to sound bites. If the evidence is there and you respond, I'm okay with that. Thank you, counsel.
Hey, Judge. Come on, you're eating out my time here. Okay. Notwithstanding the emotion and passion that you might have, if the plaintiff doesn't meet his burden of proof, notwithstanding how I genuinely feel really bad for what happened, can you award the plaintiff nothing if plaintiff doesn't meet his burden and you don't find that the Dodgers did anything wrong, that they had adequate security, that they had adequate lighting, they did everything right? By a show of hands, who could tell the plaintiff, notwithstanding how bad we feel for him, he didn't meet his burden, he can't get anything? Can you show your hands? And so some people didn't raise their hands. I assume those people feel that in this setting, they would want to do something for Mr. Smith because you feel so bad for him. Is that a fair comment? I know you didn't raise your hand. I think Ms. Jenner? Or no, yes. Ms. Kardashian, yes.
What'd you say? Can you repeat the question?
Do you feel that if the plaintiff doesn't meet the burden of proof, can you give the plaintiff nothing if the plaintiff doesn't meet the burden of proof, notwithstanding how emotional and how upsetting we feel about his injury? Could you give him nothing? You'd have a hard time with that.
Yeah.
So you'd agree that with regard to you feel the plaintiff has a little bit of a head start because you know that he suffered a catastrophic injury and you're having a hard time putting that in the box as you come in here. Is that fair? Sure, you feel that plaintiff has a little bit of a head start because you know that he's injured, you're sympathetic to that concern. You're having a hard time putting that aside. Fair?
No.
No? Okay. Anyone feel, just because we're here, I'm wearing a suit and tie, the judge is here, we have a bit, anyone feel that the Dodgers must have done something wrong because we're here? Raise your hand if you think that. Well, that would be a normal thing to think. That would be okay. But again, we don't want vigilante. This is the best process. The United States Constitution and the 7th Amendment allows parties who have disputes, and we take the position unequivocally that we didn't do anything wrong in this case. But this is the right place to be heard. Please, you're going to have to be patient. You're going to hear an instruction from the judge at every break telling you, don't talk about this case with each other. Don't tell loved ones when you go home. Don't do internet. We want you to get all the facts and evidence from this case from that witness stand. And then what we really want is for you to return a verdict for my client. Thank you.
I have to underscore that last point. The fact that we're here is only evidence that there is a dispute. That's a very, very good point. Some people make the assumption, well, they must have done something wrong. Otherwise, we wouldn't have to come into this court and listen to a judge. No, we have a bona fide dispute as to whether or not somebody did something wrong. And guess what? We need you to resolve the dispute for us. So it's not evidence of anything wrong. We just have 2 different versions, and you need to tell us which version you believe is the best one. Okay? Thank you. Now, if we can have all the jurors stand up so you can be sworn in, and then we will go right into our...
Every single person here is a juror, so please stand up, every single person.
Can everyone please raise your right hand? Do you and each of you understand and agree that you will well and truly try the cause now pending before this court and a true verdict render according only to the evidence presented to you and to the instructions of the court? Please say I do if you understand. I do. Thank you.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, you are now jurors in this case. I want to impress on you the seriousness and importance of serving on a jury. Trial by jury is a fundamental right in California. The parties have a right to a jury that is selected fairly, that comes to the case without bias, and that will attempt to reach a verdict based on the evidence presented. The verdict will be determined by a show of hands at the end of the trial. You will either vote for the plaintiff, Mr. Smith, or the defendant, the Dodgers. After you hear all the evidence and arguments of counsel, first, each side may make an opening statement. An opening statement is not evidence. It is simply an outline to help you understand what that party expects the evidence will show. Next, the jury will hear the evidence. Mr. Smith will present evidence first. When Mr. Smith is finished, the Dodgers will have an opportunity to present evidence. Each witness will first be questioned by the side that asked the witness to testify. This is called direct examination. Then the other side is permitted to question the witness. This is called cross-examination. Once both parties have rested, you will hear closing arguments from each side. Each one of us has biases about or certain perceptions or stereotypes of other people. Bias is a tendency to favor or disfavor a person or group of people. We may be aware of some of our biases, though we may not reveal them to others. We may not be fully aware of some of our other biases. We refer to biases that we are not fully aware of as implicit or unconscious. They may be based on stereotypes we would reject if they were brought to our attention. Implicit or unconscious biases can affect how we perceive others and how we make decisions without our being aware of the effect of these biases on those decisions. As jurors, you are being asked to make very important decisions in this case. You must not let bias, prejudice, or public opinion influence your decision. You must not be biased in favor of or against parties, attorneys, or witnesses because of their race, national origin, ethnicity, disability, gender, gender identity, gender expression, religion, sexual orientation, age, or socioeconomic status. Your verdict must be based solely on the evidence presented. You must carefully evaluate the evidence and resist any urge to reach a verdict that is influenced by bias for or against any party, attorney, or witness.
Yes, Your Honor.
One moment.
Your Honor, my client, Mr. McCool, is here. I'm wondering if we could allow him to come sit next to me.
Absolutely, Ms. Abbott. Mr. McCool, please join us at council table.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you're about to hear these opening statements. Remember what I just said. It's not evidence. So you can't mail it in based on what the attorneys say, but it should give you a good outline. And so you should listen to what they have to say and then be prepared to start to gather those pieces of the puzzle, which will be the basis for your verdict. Okay, Mr. Sanchez.
Thank you so much, Your Honor. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here for this very, very important case. It's very important, but it's also very, very simple, because we all know that corporations that serve alcohol on their grounds have a duty to keep their patrons safe. This is especially true when the corporation has been previously put on notice that when they serve alcohol, violent incidents occur. And if a corporation fails to keep their patrons safe after serving them alcohol, someone can get catastrophically hurt. And they know that. And that's what happened here to my client, Mr. Smith, who has been so catastrophically brain injured from this incident that he requires a conservatorship to watch over him so he doesn't die. And what does the corporation, the Dodgers and Mr. McCool do? Do they accept 1 shred, 1 ounce of responsibility? No, none at all. They deny all responsibility. And that's why we're here. That's why we need you, ladies and gentlemen. So let's get into the evidence that you're going to hear in this case. Opening day, the game is over. 2 drunk patrons are out in the parking lot. A fight starts, ladies and gentlemen. And the fight continues. And the fight continues. And it continues until Mr. Smith is on the ground and he's getting beaten and no one's stopping him. No one's stopping the people. And he's getting beat in the head. Where's the Dodgers security? Nowhere to be found for the entire duration of the fight. And what happened? Mr. Smith is transported to the hospital. He has severe brain swelling. A skull surgery needs to be performed where they remove part of his skull to save his life. And he's medically induced into a coma for several days. And he now suffers permanent neurological consequences, including seizures, memory loss, and other forms of brain damage that he will suffer for the remaining days of his life. Next slide. This is the Dodgers promotion, ladies and gentlemen, for the subject game. It's time for calling in sick. Why? Why would you have to call in sick, you ask? Enjoy half-price food and drink at all midweek day games, which was this subject game. Alcohol beverages included. This is a Dodgers promotion. They were saying, come drink, half off. You're going to drink so much that you're going to be calling in the sick day. That's what the culture that they wanted at the Dodgers game, despite knowing that fights occur. Counsel for the Dodgers and Mr. McCool will stand up here and tell you the person responsible is serving time in jail. But that's nothing but a corporate excuse. We don't accept corporate excuses in a court of law. You will hear they hired and paid for an expert witness to say they did nothing wrong. But I ask you to reserve judgment on that until cross-examination of that expert when the truth really will come out. But no matter what they say, the Dodgers and their paid-for witness cannot escape the fact that there is no fight but for, first, them selling half-off alcohol, and second, having insufficient security to prevent this very incident from occurring, despite knowing that it was likely to happen in the first place. They not only fueled the fire, ladies and gentlemen, they started it. So what are your tasks? You are to determine who is liable or responsible. And after you determine that, next slide, you are to determine percentage of fault for each party. Next slide. So who do you have to pick from? Well, you have to decide whether or not the Dodgers and Mr. McCool here is responsible. You have to decide what percentage of fault goes to the perpetrators who actually beat up my client in the parking lot. Is that all? It's actually not in this case. You'll have an opportunity to actually put fault on Mr. Smith at the end of your verdict form. That's right. You'll have that opportunity because not only do the Dodgers and Mr. McCool not accept any responsibility for this incident, they blame Mr. Smith for what happened. They blame the permanently brain-injured person and say, no, it's not us, it's your fault. Unbelievable. Of course, at the end of the day, you will see based on the evidence, ladies and gentlemen, that the Dodgers are most responsible. And let's get into some of the evidence you're going to hear in this case. Next slide. You're going to hear from Dodgers security chief, Mr. Shahram. You'll hear testimony from this ex-head of security that he quit less than 1 year before the incident because Dodgers ownership was cutting safety corners. That with Mr. McCool, it's all about the money and he didn't care about the fans. He will also testify Mr. McCool decided not to have LAPD presence at night games anymore, and the Dodgers security can handle it themselves, and that was a devastating safety decision. He will also tell you about previous incidents in the parking lot, including catastrophic injuries and shootings, and that is before the LAPD reduction, which was part of the plan on the subject game, LAPD reduction. You'll also see, next slide, a memo that this security chief sent to Mr. McCool. Next slide. And I'll just read you the bottom where he's complaining about Mr. McCool's decision to cut LAPD and how this is going to put people in danger, and the Dodgers security is wholly insufficient. We all know where this is going. A trained monkey could get a security guard license in this state. All you have to do is fill out an application and pay a fee. Those people have no idea how to manage a major sporting event in the second largest city in America. The sea of uniformed police officers at every Dodger home game created an atmosphere of law and order. Without them, we are sure to see a spike in assaults and other violent crimes in and around the stadium. I don't want to be a part of it. I don't want to sit idly by and watch somebody get assaulted or killed. Please consider this my 2-week notice of resignation. This is less than 1 year before the incident. And what do the Dodgers and Mr. McCool do? They still do the reduction of LAPD. They still do safety corners. That's why we're here. Next slide. You're also going to hear from Dodgers security guard Mr. Hill, who was present at the time. They knew the day was going to be, you're going to hear him say they knew the day was going to be rowdy because of the half-priced alcohol. It was advertised all over the internet. Worst part about it, he admits they know from previous promotions like this that when they do this, fights occur in the parking lot. So we asked him, why do they continue to run these half-off alcohol promotions? He testified it sells out the games. Why did the Dodgers and Mr. McCool do this half-off alcohol promotions? To sell tickets, ladies and gentlemen, at the expense of all of our health. It's all about the Benjamins for Mr. McCool. Next slide. You're also going to hear from a Dodgers fan and witness, Miss Logano. She witnessed the bloody beating. She'll also testify that she's been going to Dodger games for years and the parking lot's rough, so much that she fears for her elderly parents' lives, and that she has seen fights before, and they happen all the time. And most shocking, ladies and gentlemen, you'll hear that while the subject incident was occurring, a Dodgers security team professional, which the Dodgers and Mr. McCool say is sufficient, was seen eating a Dodgers dog in eyesight of the fight, standing idly by, not doing anything. This is the Dodgers, ladies and gentlemen. Next slide. So I told you, the Dodgers are blaming Mr. Smith, my client, for the incident. What are you going to hear about that? What evidence will you hear about that? Next slide. You'll hear from witness Mr. Whitley. He sat a few rows up from Mr. Smith during the game. You'll hear him testify that Mr. Smith was drunk. He'll testify that Mr. Smith was being obnoxious. Mr. Smith was yelling obscenities. You'll hear him testify to this. And he did, in fact, had a blood alcohol content amount of 0.18. But the Dodgers know that this happens. They sell alcohol at half off, and they have a responsibility to ensure people do not get hurt. The same witness who will tell you about Mr. Smith will also testify that the Dodger fans that reacted to Mr. Smith were clearly gangbangers, perfectly accepted and allowed into the grounds no problem by Dodger ownership. The same witness will also tell you that the Dodgers security saw a milder mix-up in the stadium involving Mr. Smith earlier on in the game and didn't do anything about it. So once again, the Dodgers and their team failed to do their job and keep people safe. When a corporation sells alcohol at a discount for consumption on its grounds, it's responsible to make sure that its patrons are safe. This is especially true when they're already on notice that violent incidents occur. And if a corporation fails to keep its patrons safe, someone can get catastrophically hurt, and that's what happened here. And we must, and we will, hold the Dodgers responsible for the vast majority of the harm caused. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen.
Jurors are not allowed to applaud lawyers when they're done with opening statement. Please do not applaud the lawyers, Your Honor. Let's get some order.
Yes, let's have some order here. It's not a show. For the defense, Ms. Savitt.
If it please the court, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, counsel, I'm actually very proud to stand here and represent the Los Angeles Dodgers and Mr. Frank McCool. Let me introduce myself. I'm Linda Savitt. You've heard a lot of argument. I'm not going to put up any slides because I'm going to ask you to listen to what I point out to you, and then I'm going to ask you to listen in the trial for the evidence that supports what I've told you, or if you don't think it supports what I told you, why it doesn't support it. So I'm going to ask you to listen. The Dodgers played the Giants, big rivals. Mr. Smith came down with his buddies to the Dodger game. It was a day game, okay? He's dressed in the Giants' black and orange outfits. He's having a great time. Yes, there was a promotion. The promotion was food and drinks are half price. That means hot dogs are half price. Ice cream bars are half price. Cokes are half price. 7-Up is half price. And it did include alcohol. But the Dodgers do believe that their fans can be responsible. And the Dodgers shut off that promotion after the 5th inning. That's only for the 2nd to the 5th inning. Okay, so now you have the 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th innings. There's no half-price promotion. And the concessions shut down after the 8th inning. Okay. So for Mr. Smith to have become intoxicated, he had to be drinking an awful lot and not necessarily with the half-price promotion. Let me tell you what a 0.18 blood alcohol is. The law in the state of California says you cannot drive if your blood alcohol is 0.08. That is drunk driving. Now multiply 0.08 by 2. That's 0.16. Mr. Smith's blood alcohol was higher than twice the legal limit. And the evidence is going to show that he was yelling at the Dodger fans. He actually called out one woman and said, "Only fat chicks root for the Dodgers." He called the Dodgers sad sacks. He was running around saying, "Code red alert for Dodger fans." That's a threat. The Dodgers anticipated there would be problems in the stands. So they have a program called the Dodger Watch Stadium Crime Watch. Please report all suspicious activities by calling or texting security. That program works, and it worked that day because the Dodgers actually ejected 92 people from the stadium because they were complaints about those people's behavior. but no one complained about Mr. Smith and his buddies' behaviors. So what happened is, after the game, when Mr. Smith was leaving with his buddies, two men by the name of Alicio German and Juan Armentes were taunted by Mr. Smith, and they got into a fight. They knocked Mr. Smith to the ground. The Dodgers did not make Mr. German or Mr. Armentes knock Mr. Smith to the ground. They then kicked him in the head. The Dodgers did not cause Mr. German or Mr. Armentes to kick Mr. Smith in the head. His friends did not help. So Mr. Smith was seriously injured. That's what makes this case very, very sad. And what you're going to be asked to decide is who's responsible. It's a tragic case. There's no question about it. But the evidence will show the Dodgers had over 200 security personnel on the premises that day. They were down to 19 off-duty LAPD officers. Los Angeles Police Department cannot work a private facility unless they're off-duty. They had 59 trained law enforcement officers, and they had 124 non-sworn security guards. And those officers and security guards were patrolling and took care of the 92 people that there were complaints about.
Excuse me, Ms. Abbott. Excuse me. I'm going to confiscate phones. You know there are no phones allowed in the courtroom. So those of you who are on your phones not paying attention, get ready to have your phones confiscated, and there will be a $100 fine. So this is serious business. This is not the playground. So I need everyone off their phones and eyes up here. Thank you. Go ahead, Ms. Abbott.
Okay, thank you, Your Honor. You're going to hear from the security expert that having 200 security personnel on the premises is pretty much in excess of what any stadium has. The Dodgers had appropriate security. They have 56,000 people attend the game. I guess you could get 56,000 security guards to go one-on-one with every customer. That isn't possible. That isn't feasible. The experts will testify that the Dodgers had adequate personnel. Now, you're going to hear from Mr. Sharam, and yes, he wasn't allowed to hire all his buddies from the LAPD, but they had trained law enforcement officers there. They had policies in place. The concessionaires have to check the ID of the people who buy alcohol to make sure they're over 21. And they expect people to act responsibly. You heard the argument that the security guard was eating a hot dog when he came to the scene of the accident. He will adamantly deny it. He says the Dodgers have a zero tolerance for security officers eating on the job, and he knows of 3 people who have been personally fired, and he was never eating on the job. So this is really a sad case. If Mr. Smith had exercised responsibility and not allowed his blood alcohol to get twice the legal limit to drive, if Mr. Smith had not taunted and made snide remarks and nasty digs at Dodger fans, this probably wouldn't have happened. If Mr. German and Mr. Armentes were not there, this wouldn't have happened. It was a confluence of events that the Dodgers could not control. And the Dodgers did everything possible. Yeah, they have a half price off for food and soft drinks and alcohol drinks. People want to have a good time at the Dodger game. So Mr. McCool makes it available for them. The tickets are expensive, so let's make the food and beverages a little less expensive so people can bring their kids and their families and have a good time. That's not irresponsible corporate behavior. That's allowing fans like you who can to go and have an affordable day at a Dodger game. The evidence is going to show that the Dodgers did everything right. They don't want their fans being hurt. Of course they don't. They want their fans to come and have a good time. And they were responsible. They cut off the half price after the 5th inning. And you will be then faced, quite frankly, with the hard decision, because you're going to feel sorry for Mr. Smith. But it's not the Dodgers' fault. So you're going to have to decide whose fault it was. And I submit to you, you're going to find it was the fault of Mr. Eliso German and Mr. Armentez, who are both in prison where they should be. And you're going to find that Mr. Smith was partly responsible. He was irresponsible in his drinking. The Dodgers didn't make him drink that much. He was irresponsible in calling out the negative, taunting comments he made. Dodgers didn't make him do that. And there couldn't be a security guard with every person there. So at the end of the day, I'm convinced you will find that the Dodgers really did not have any responsibility for the tragedy that befell Mr. Smith. Thank you for your attention.
Now we're going to take a quick break. You're not jurors. You're back to being students, okay? So the trial is going to pause because what I want to do, now we can applaud these wonderful attorneys, huh? Linda Miller-Savitt, Lourdes Garmis, Daniel DeSantis, Keith Bremer. They're excellent. They are phenomenal attorneys, good friends of mine. But now what I want to do in a few minutes, we're caught up now. We got about 10 minutes or so. I want to find out, does anyone have any questions about what just happened or why it happened or your thoughts right now? Don't tell us which way you're leaning yet because, again, you are jurors. But right now, I just want to know any thoughts. Anyone have any questions? Teachers, too. Anyone, please. Right here. Okay. You are from West Adams?
Yes, sir. All right. My question is for both lawyers. Did any of the jurors stand out as ones you would not want to remain on the jury?
Keith, you can come back up here. Okay, that's a great question. So he's asking about the strategy, right? These attorneys asked certain questions and got certain answers from the jurors. And each one wants to sit their best jurors. So go ahead, Keith, you want to start?
Yeah, I thought Miss Kardashian might be a problem. I was trying to build a little rapport and figure out if she could be fair and impartial, and I wasn't getting anywhere. I loved my security guard, ex-military. He's definitely going to be someone I'll marry.
Lourdes, what are your
Yes,
thoughts?
and in that regard, I would get rid of Mr. Bravo. Sorry, for that same reason, because he would be more on the side of the security guards, even though he said he could be impartial. It's somebody I probably couldn't get him off for cause, but I'd get him off with a peremptory. And then Cindy, who gave strong opinions, but then hid behind she could be fair. So that would be somebody that I'd be concerned about.
All right. Any other questions? Teachers, students, please. Any thoughts? Yeah, I see over there. Great suit, dude, by the way. All right, here you go. Hold on. What's your name? Just say your name.
Jadon Holmes.
Okay, Jadon Holmes. Tell us.
Is there a specific area or distribution of security compared to the amount of seats in the stadium?
That's a great factual question that we may find out, but does anyone know offhand? Yeah, Mr. McCool?
You want me to answer that question?
You're not under oath. Go ahead.
All right. Yeah, there is. And you can compare that to every major urban franchise or professional team location in all of baseball, football, basketball, and or hockey.
All right, and as jurors, you're supposed to disregard all of that evidence you just heard, right, Your Honor?
That's right. Only evidence is when the witnesses testify.
Yeah. Okay. Good question, though. Any other questions about the strategy or some of the jury selection, opening statements, teachers, anyone? Yeah, back there, way in the back. All right, if you tell us your name and what school you're from, sir.
Leslie Barnum from University Pathways Public Service Academy. My question is, in a case like this, how large could the jury pool be? And if you are not selected and you thank and excuse a juror, is his jury duty over?
Okay. Great question. And to tell you the truth, we have two attorneys in this room who tried this actual case. Dana Fox, who you'll hear from, and Chris O'May, who's been walking around. But maybe Judge Birdsong how many jurors would you call? Meaning these are people that get in the mail what you're going to get when you're 18 is you're going to get something in the mail that's going to tell you have to show up for jury duty by law. Judge, why don't you tell us on a case like this?
Certainly. Sometimes it's not so precise. We basically are at the whim of the people who actually respond to the jury summons and say they're available and report when they are asked to report. So on any given trial, I think at a minimum we can get 35 to 40 jurors. If it's a bigger or longer case, we can always ask for more, but it is a hit and miss. And sometimes when we only get, say if we only got 35 and we end up losing some, we'll have to bring up another panel. Sometimes that might take several days. In response to once they're excused, yes, their jury duty is over. And I always impress upon people, look, don't try to wiggle out and make up some excuse to get out, because you basically get thrown back into the pond. So it's important that you serve, that you listen, that you participate. It's worth it.
Great question. I have a question for Miss Linda Miller-Savitt here. The plaintiff attorney, I noticed he was very aggressive and almost sounded like he was giving a closing argument. Is there any reason you did not want to object to Mr. DeSantis giving a closing argument?
Well, he didn't really say anything of substance, so so I didn't want to interrupt his flow. Maybe in a real trial I might have objected, but I wanted to come back to you with actual facts and information and evidence to counter that.
Started something.
It's very important that you as jurors hold us lawyers accountable for these facts that we say in opening statements, right? So if defense counsel, for example, said facts that do not ring true once the evidence starts, you can think about that in your jury deliberation process.
So just the rules, though, are an opening statement. You are just supposed to say what the evidence is going to show. And I think the judge may have sustained an objection if he says it's all about the Benjamins, Mr. McCool, correct? That's argumentative.
Argumentative,
right?
all day long.
Yeah. So you got to be careful, but it's more of an art than a science. The attorneys, he's trying to inflame your passions on the case, get you emotionally into the case, right? And so it's a gray area.
It is strategic. I mean, we have a colleague, I've heard of Carl Douglas, who was on the O.J. Simpson case, and he actually brags about if he doesn't get an objection during his opening statement, he hasn't done his job. And so you do have to be careful, because some judges would just sit. Now, obviously, I don't know if y'all saw me, my body language was like, kind of like whatever. But I actually thought Ms. Savitt handled it very well in terms of she just casually said, I'm not going to worry about the argument you just heard. So she really redirected where the focus was. I thought that was very effective. And if you can get away with it, absolutely. If they don't object, you push as much as you can. But as the judge, I can sit and I can see things where I may sustain or overrule, but it's not my job to just interpose. I'll just sit there and like, okay. So the lawyers have to be on their toes.
Any final questions before we call our... Oh, here we go. Good. Some students. I'm going to go to her real quick. Can you just say your name and what high school you're from?
My name is Priscia, and I'm from Woodrow Wilson High School. And my question is for the defendant's lawyer. And it's, why did you decide to exclude the information where your defendant was causing this ruckus during the Dodger game?
Do you mean the attorney for the Dodgers or the attorney for the...
For Mr. Smith.
Okay, so this is for Mr. DeSantis.
Exclude the information that my client was obnoxious and all that?
Yes.
Great question.
I'm sorry, I didn't go over it enough with that witness that was sitting behind him in the rose couple behind. I wish I went over that more, but it's a good point you bring up. As the plaintiff's lawyer that goes first, we want to be the source of all of the information in the case before the defense stands up and gives the information, right? That's because if we fail to leave out something important, and you hear it for the first time from the defense, that's going to make you look at the plaintiff's side with a little bit of hesitation, which is something we want to avoid on our side.
So look at this red. It's an apple, folks. And the defense attorney comes up, be like, no, it's not. Here's the evidence. It's a fire truck. Then you're going to be like, well, I don't trust this guy the rest of trial, right? So that's a very good question and a good thought. Who else here? Yeah.
Whenever you're doing your opening statement, what are your thoughts behind it? Like, do you think before making an action, making hand movement, or like things like that?
Oh yeah, the whole thing is a performance. I think everyone would agree. For example, I'm really hard on myself that I kind of pace too much when I watch myself and I film myself and I see myself on camera. I need to do, for example, a better job of just anchoring, standing still, and looking with pause. But just my natural thing that I do is I'm like pacing up and down. So I'm very much in tune of what I could do better all the time and what I am trying to do while I'm standing up there, yeah.
But sometimes, because we are trial attorneys, we tend to think while we walk. So it's more intentional sometimes, and it keeps the focus on you when you're walking back and forth, and then you pause. The jury kind of, you use the walking, even though that's how I think, as part of the performance, because when you stop and you stand still, then the focus on what you're saying becomes more effective.
Yeah, and I think one thing you're going to see here is 10 very different styles. But the thing you're going to see is they're all real to themselves. They're not trying to be someone else or fake it, because that will never work. You all, jurors, will see through that so quick. As soon as you find your own voice and who you are, even if you have an accent, it doesn't matter. As long as you're credible and you're truthful and you're committed to the evidence, that's all that matters, frankly. Any other final questions before we go back to being jurors and call our first witness? Seeing none, Your Honor, it's back to your case.
Okay, for the plaintiff, who's your first witness?
Billy Sherham.
Yes, bring the witness in. Mr. Sharm, please approach. Would you raise your right hand and take the oath? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Okay, make sure you speak into the microphone. Please have a seat in the witness stand and state and spell your name for the record.
My name is Billy Sherham, BYLLIESHAHRAM.
Ms. Sack, you may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Sherham, what do you do for a living?
I'm currently the Director of Security at the Claremont Colleges in Pomona, California.
And I see you're in uniform. Were you previously in law enforcement?
I was a police officer for the Los Angeles Police Department for 17 years.
And at any point, did you also work for Dodgers?
I did. While I was with the police department, when I was off duty, I worked in Dodger Stadium as a uniformed off-duty police officer. And then when I retired from the police department, I was made head of security for Dodger Stadium.
Are you familiar with Dodger Stadium?
Absolutely.
As the head of security, can you tell the members of the jury what your responsibilities were?
My responsibility was keeping Dodger fans safe.
Okay. And as the head of security at Dodger Stadium, what areas were you responsible for?
Well, I was responsible for the whole thing, from the time that the fans walked through the gates until the time they left. They were under my care.
And, Your Honor, what I have up is Exhibit A. I'd like to show this to the witness.
Any objection?
No, Your Honor.
Exhibit A will be received.
Okay. Mr. Sharham, do you recognize the photograph I have in front of you?
Certainly. That's
And
Dodger
what?
Stadium.
Oh, sorry. And what is that?
It's Dodger Stadium in the daytime.
And approximately how many people attend a Dodgers game when it's at capacity?
Over 50,000.
I'd like to show you another exhibit. Could you bring up Exhibit B, please?
Any objection?
No, Your Honor.
Exhibit B will be received.
Mr. Sharham, do you recognize this photograph?
Yes, that's the stadium at night.
And I'd like to bring up Exhibit C, Your Honor.
Any objection?
No, Your Honor.
Exhibit C will be received.
Do you recognize this exhibit, Mr. Sharham?
I do.
Okay, and what is this?
It's a diagram of Dodger Stadium.
You stated earlier that you were head of security at Dodger Stadium. Is that right? Did you supervise other security personnel?
I did. There was a delineation of 3 groups of personnel.
Okay. And why don't you help me, or why don't we explain to the jury exactly what those 3 personnel are? There's 3, right? What is the first one, sir?
Well, at the top was uniformed off-duty police officers.
Okay. And then we have a second group. What's the second group?
Those are the group we referred to as LEOs, law enforcement officers.
Okay. And what is the third group?
They were security personnel. They received some sort of training, not much, and there was a pay scale as well. The police officers who were most highly trained, they were paid $50 an hour. The LEOs were paid $30 an hour, and then these other folks, they were paid $10 to $15 an hour.
Okay. So if we have a range of security personnel, the highest skilled personnel is here, is that right? The officers.
Correct. These are men and women who put their lives on the line every day for the city of Los Angeles. They wore their uniforms with pride. The fans appreciated them. The fans respected their authority.
Okay. And the second group of personnel in the middle, who are they and what do they do?
Well, they were mostly probation and parole officers. They did have some training, but they'd never been on the street.
And this third group of personnel, this last group, who are they and what do they do?
Well, they're folks from the community who took a couple-hour class at a strip mall in Reseda and received some sort of certificate that allows them to work security at office buildings and Chuck E. Cheese restaurants.
You mean like a piece of paper like this, a certificate?
Something like that, yeah.
Something like that, thank you. I'd like to ask you a few questions about the surrounding area of Dodger Stadium. We have Exhibit C up, and Your Honor, I don't think I asked, but I would like to have these exhibits admitted into evidence.
When I say they're received, they are in evidence.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
This is Dodger Stadium, Exhibit C. You were talking about the surrounding areas. Do you remember that?
I do.
Okay. Was that a part of your beat?
It was when I was on the force, and it was something that we were cognizant of at all times. There's a gang presence in that neighborhood, the Echo Park Locos, and from time to time they make their way into the Dodger Stadium grounds, and we have to be cognizant of that when they're there.
Okay. And when you were familiar with this area, were there any prior incidents of violence in the surrounding area or at Dodger Stadium?
Unfortunately, there were. There were a few assaults, and tragically in 2014, someone lost their lives. There was a shooting. But the answer to that is more highly trained professionals, not less.
Based on your experience, was violence in the parking lot something that you as a security personnel had to plan for?
Plan for it every day.
Did the security at Dodger Stadium remain the same during your entire time there as head of security?
Well, I thought it actually got better each year. And then the team was purchased by the McCools, and there was a drastic change.
Okay. And when you say the McCools, do you mean Mr. McCool, sitting here at the Defense Counsel table?
Mr. McCool.
Thank you.
And at the time, his wife.
Okay. And after Mr. McCool purchased the Dodgers, did anything change?
Well, it was clear from the start that his intent was to squeeze every dollar, every dime out of the club to finance his lifestyle. He was more concerned with being on his yacht and drinking champagne cocktails than
Objection, Your Honor.
the security of the fans who paid their hard-earned money.
Hold on. There's an objection.
Objection, Your Honor, non-responsive.
Sustained. Next question.
The changes that you described, Did you agree with them?
Absolutely not.
Why not?
Dodger Stadium is a special place. Fans work hard to bring their families to the stadium to watch a great baseball team. And what they deserve is safety and security. And to have safety and security, that requires highly trained, professional officers who command respect and have authority within the grounds of the stadium.
At some point, did you leave Dodger Stadium as
did.
security? Why?
Well, Mr. McCool demanded that I get rid of 25 police officers, men and women who I knew and respected, who put their lives on the line for the city, put their lives on the line for Dodger fans. And he wanted to go in a different direction. He wanted to replace them with more of these low-level, $10 an hour kids in polo shirts.
And I get the sense that you feel some sort of emotion about this. What is it? How did you feel about removing those officers?
Well, I thought it would be a disaster. It was suicide for the club.
Did you ever express your concerns about those qualified officers being removed from Dodger Stadium after Mr. McCool took over?
I did. I told management that this was going to be a disaster, that it was going to be suicide. And what they did was they hired a consultant, someone, Mantarina, I believe, who came in and told them that everything was going to be all right and to spend their money on golf carts and cameras and polo shirts for kids who want to come to Dodger Stadium and play cops and robbers. I wouldn't have that.
At some point, did you put your concerns in writing to the ownership of Dodger Stadium?
I did when I resigned.
Okay, and I'd like to, Your Honor, show Exhibit F, please.
Any objection?
No, Your Honor.
Exhibit F will be received.
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you. Mr. Sharham, you authored a memo to Dodger ownership about your concerns. Is that right?
I did.
And is Exhibit F your memorandum?
It is.
And that is dated and signed by you. Is that correct?
Correct.
And it was your expectation when you wrote that letter that it would go to Mr. McCool. Is that correct?
Yes.
And what were the sentiments that you were expressing in your letter when you resigned from Dodger Security?
I wanted to be known. I wanted to put it on the record that what they were doing was wrong. It was dangerous, and it was an insult to the working men and women of the Los Angeles Police Department who had sacrificed so much for the team. And it was also disrespectful to the fans, first and foremost.
Thank you. And thank you for your service. Based on your experience, what happens when you reduce trained, experienced security personnel in a high-risk environment?
Very bad things can happen, especially in an area like this where there's a gang presence, people looking to do bad things. Anything can happen and many bad things can happen.
Did you believe that reducing police presence increased the risk of violence?
Absolutely.
When you learned about what happened to Mr. Smith, did that surprise you?
Not at all.
Why not?
Well, this is the direction things were headed. Mr. McCool put his own profits over the safety of his fans, and this is what you get when an owner does that.
Mr. Sharham, in your opinion, do you believe what happened to Mr. Smith was preventable?
Absolutely.
Thank you, Your Honor. No further questions.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Sanders.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, Mr. Shaw.
Good morning.
Do you mind taking your sunglasses off while you're on the stand? Thank you. So, Mr. Sharm, you were head of security for the Dodgers from 2011 to 2020. Is that correct?
Correct.
All right. So approximately 9 years, right?
Yes.
Okay. And I think counsel was questioning you. You said that you were, prior to that, you were a member of the Los Angeles Police Department, correct?
Correct.
And on top of that, you were president of the Police Officers Benevolent Association, right?
I was.
So as president of the Police Officers Benevolent Association, you were in charge of like raising money for police officers in need, right?
I was.
So if a family member was sick, you went out and raised money, correct?
I did.
All right. Someone unfortunately passed away, you went out and raised money for police officers and their families, right?
Yes.
Okay. And you enjoyed your time with LAPD, correct?
It was my career.
Okay. And in fact, you started with the Dodgers while you were still with LAPD, correct?
I did.
So some people would call that moonlighting with the Dodgers, right?
You can call it whatever you want.
Okay. You did it to make extra money, right?
Certainly.
Okay.
That was part of it.
And in fact, you moonlighted with the Dodgers for 10 years because you thought it was a great way for you to make a little extra cash, right?
That was part of it.
Okay. And but I want to kind of go back to your time and your experience as an LAPD officer. You were on patrol for 17 years, right?
Yes.
So you, in that capacity, you saw many things on the streets of Los Angeles, right?
I did.
You saw robbings.
Yes.
You saw shootings.
Yes.
You saw death.
I did.
All right. And some of those things that you saw were the result of random attacks, correct?
I suppose.
All right. Things that no person could control, right?
Some of them.
Sudden attacks, correct?
Some cases.
Unpredictable attacks, correct?
Some were predictable, some weren't.
Okay. Because through your experience as a former 17-year LAPD officer, you know that sometimes people are just violent and you can't stop it, right?
That is true.
Okay. And indeed, 2014, you testified previously that you were the head of security at Dodger Stadium, correct?
I was.
And there was a shooting at Dodger Stadium in 2014, correct?
Correct.
And that was on your watch, right?
It was a tragedy.
You were the head of security in 2014 when that shooting occurred, correct?
I was.
And you'd agree with me that that's an unfortunate incident, correct?
It was a tragedy.
And through the course of that tragedy, sure you'd agree with me that had you been able to prevent it, you would have prevented it, correct?
The men and women who were there that night did what they could.
Okay, so let's talk about those men and women that were there that night in 2014. You had off-duty LAPD officers, correct?
Correct.
All right. $50 an hour, correct?
Correct.
Surrounding the stadium, right?
Yes.
Okay. You also had other law enforcement officers that were present, just not LAPD, correct? All right.
Correct.
Yes?
Yes.
Okay. And so those other law enforcement officers, they're sworn police officers just like you were at that time, correct?
Yes.
All right. So that means that they took that oath to protect and serve. They were just in a different department, right?
Yes.
Okay. And in fact, the LAPD officers during that 2014 shooting, they were in their LAPD blues, correct?
They were.
All right. And that shows presence. You'd agree with me, right?
Yes.
All right. And the non-LAPD officers that were under your direction in 2014, they were wearing blue polos, correct?
Yes.
All right. So for some reason, you didn't allow those other officers to wear their the uniforms associated with whatever department they were in, correct?
Well, if they were probation and parole officers, I didn't think that would be something that the fans particularly cared about or respected.
So, but
carries a different type of authority. It's a different presence than a uniformed Los Angeles police officer.
And so you had them wear blue polos so that they would be identifiable as security, correct?
I did.
All right. And then the third set of protection that was present in 2014 at the time of the shooting were the non-sworn guards, correct?
They were there.
And they were licensed though, correct?
You can call it a license.
Okay. So it's fair to say, and you'd agree with me, that at the time of the 2014 shooting that occurred while you were the head of security at Dodger Stadium, all 3 levels of security personnel were present at the stadium?
They were present.
Okay. And the shooting still occurred, correct?
It did.
Okay. And so I want to talk a little bit now about your exit as security, or as head of security for the Los Angeles Dodgers. That occurred in June of 2020, correct?
Yes.
And by that time, it's fair to say you were frustrated, correct?
That's fair to say.
All right. Mr. McCool, my client over there, he had purchased the Dodgers, right?
He had.
Okay. And Mr. McCool's married, right?
I think he was married.
Okay. And you don't know his wife, do you?
I don't want to know his wife.
Okay. That's move to strike is non-responsive, Your Honor.
Motion to strike granted.
Okay. You don't know my client's wife, right?
I don't, and I don't want to know her.
Okay. I think you made that abundantly clear because you reference my client's wife in your resignation memo, don't you? Correct?
I said what I said.
All right. You said what you said. Well, let's kind of go. Let's dig into that a little bit. You had some. You're here as a witness for the plaintiff, correct?
I got a subpoena and I showed up.
Okay. Well, you got a subpoena from the plaintiff and they called you as a witness, so you're here, right?
I'm here.
Okay. And so you, in June of 2020, you thought it was your opinion that the Dodgers were reducing the number of LAPD officers that would be present at games, correct?
Well, it wasn't my opinion, it was fact. They
Okay.
did.
It was fact. And you, in fact, felt that that was harming the police officers financially, right?
It was harming a lot of things.
I beg your pardon?
It was harming a lot of things.
But that's not what I asked you. I asked you whether or not you'd agree with me that you felt at that time that the police officers that relied on that income working at Dodger Stadium would no longer be making the money that they were making previously, correct?
Well, if McCool maybe lay them all off, yes, they would not be making that money anymore.
And you were concerned about them, right?
I was concerned about them and I was concerned about the Dodgers fans.
Okay, but I'm talking about your concern with LAPD officers because you reference them in your memo when you call them your men in blue, correct?
Right.
All right. And so you disagree, it's fair to say you disagree with the Dodgers' new security plan, correct?
I do.
Okay. But you're not here testifying as an expert witness, right?
Got a subpoena and I showed up.
Okay. That's not my question. Move to strike, Your Honor.
Motion to strike granted.
Okay. You're not here today as an expert witness, are you?
I don't know what an expert witness is. I'm here as a witness.
Okay. I'll take that as a no, you're not.
Objection, Your Honor. Argumentative.
Okay, we don't need the other remarks, Mr. Sanders. Just questions and answers, please.
I'll do my best, Your Honor.
Thank you.
So, Mr. Sharm, you stated in your memorandum that Mr. McCool was pushing to reduce costs, correct?
He was.
But Mr. McCool runs the budget of the Los Angeles Dodgers, not you, right?
I know what he was reducing in security.
You know that he reduced the number of uniformed LAPD officers on scene, correct?
He did, so he could buy golf carts and polo shirts.
All right. Well, let's get into we're going to get into the golf carts and the polo shirts. You just hold on a little bit. We'll get there. Okay. So you understood that your memo served as a resignation, correct?
I did.
So you resigned 2 weeks after this in June 2020, right?
I did.
And in fact, the new head of security was a gentleman named Monterena, correct?
That's what I hear.
Okay. And Mr. Monterena was a former Secret Service agent, right?
Okay.
Yes?
If that's what he says he is.
Okay.
Objection calls for speculation.
Well, you testified to that in your deposition, isn't that true?
I believe that's what he did, but
Okay.
I wasn't there with him. when he did it.
Okay. So Mr. Monterena was a former Secret Service agent, at least to your knowledge, correct?
So I'm told.
All right. So he guarded the President of the United States, right?
Okay.
Is that a yes?
There are a lot of Secret Service people who do a lot of different jobs. I don't know what his job was.
And I'm going to object as it calls for speculation.
And
Well, as overruled, as phrased, it was okay. But he answered the question. Next question.
And according to your memorandum and your deposition testimony, Mr. Monterena's plan included the reduction of the number of LAPD officers, but instead adding on carts, correct?
Right.
So, and you don't know how many carts Mr. Monterena's plan included, do you?
I know the stadium's not a golf course.
All right, I understand that. So the carts, you would agree with me, would give security personnel the ability to travel more quickly than walking, correct?
The carts go about 6 miles per hour, so I suppose that's faster than some of them walk. Yeah.
And in fact, Mr. Monterena's plan also called for more surveillance cameras around the stadium, correct?
He said they did.
Okay. And you didn't ever come up with a plan for surveillance cameras, correct?
I wasn't asked to.
So I'm right, correct?
Well, under my plan, we had uniformed men and women who put their lives on the line. And I felt that was better than going to Costco and buying a couple YI cameras.
The Mr. Monterena's plan called for security personnel that could move more quickly in carts and blanketing Dodger Stadium with surveillance cameras, correct?
I don't know if I'd call it blanketing.
Okay. And then Mr. Monterena, in fact, started what's known as the Fan Awareness Program, correct?
Okay.
All right. Yes?
Sure.
All right. And that Fan Awareness Program, can we display Exhibit I, please? Do you recognize that, Mr. Shaw?
Right.
Exhibit I?
Hold on. Exhibit I, any objection?
No objection, Your Honor.
Exhibit I will be received.
You recognize what I've marked as Exhibit I?
Yeah.
And that's the Dodger Stadium Crime Watch. Signs that were posted all around Dodger Stadium with under Mr. Monterena's plan. Correct?
Right.
Correct?
Yeah, when I had a 2-year-old, I told him when he saw something bad to say stranger danger.
Okay. But this?
Didn't work any better than that.
Under this plan and following these signs that Mr. Monterena designed, fans could report any suspicious activity by either calling or quickly texting a posted phone number, correct?
Okay. Fans could always tell us if there was a problem, and we'd respond.
But you didn't have such a plan when you were the head of security, did you?
Okay.
Okay. So isn't it true, Mr. Sharm, that you just failed to catch up to the times with carts, surveillance cameras, and the ability to notify law enforcement of suspicious activity immediately? Isn't that true?
I wouldn't characterize it as that now.
Isn't it true that the only reason that you're mad is because the officers that used to look up to you aren't making $50 an hour anymore at the level they were previously?
I'm mad that a crime occurred that was preventable.
And isn't it true that a potentially or a violent crime occurred in 2014 under your watch while you were head of security?
That is true.
Okay. I have nothing further, Your Honor.
All right. That's the first time I've seen an attorney and a witness be a combined 17 feet tall. But with that, we can take a time out from being jurors for a second before we get lunch. So we can give them all a round of applause. Ibieri Sec. Yeah, there we go. Look at this. Justin Sanders for the defense. You can break character now, bro. Jesse Marr as the security expert. He has grown this mustache for this role. So we thank them all. But before we grab lunch, because lunch is right out there, I am extremely excited. This is the first time this has ever happened in a ABOTA mock trial, thanks to Judge Birdsong. But does everyone know what the U.S. Supreme Court is? The U.S. Supreme Court, of course, it's the highest court in the land, right? Well, every state has one of those. And we have the biggest state in the union, and today we're going to hear from a California Supreme Court justice. There's only 7 of them. So we are extremely lucky. This is very rare. I've never seen a Supreme Court justice in California speak, and I've been doing this 20 years. So we're all very lucky. Today we have Joshua Groban. He's going to come say a few remarks about his experience, and we are truly lucky to have him. So please give him a very loud round of applause when he comes out. Supreme Court Justice Joshua Groban. Thank you very much.
Great seeing you all. I'm Justice Groban. I'm on the California Supreme Court, and I'm really honored to be here. I was in these halls in a million different capacities. First as a student like you, then as a lawyer, nervous sitting at these desks, arguing before scary judges just like you did, then working for Governor Brown, and now as a judge myself. This process is really important and can be a little bit scary, right? But there is nothing that will prepare you better for being a litigator than doing mock trial. The ability to, whatever you do, whether you become a lawyer or you do something else, the ability to process facts quickly, to deal with curveballs, to stand on your feet and speak with poise is going to serve you well in life. Even if you're not a lawyer, you'll remember this experience well. And we're really proud of all of you for going through the experience and getting this far. As I said, it's going to serve you well in life, and I'm delighted to be here and participate in it with you. So congratulations.
All right, Your Honor, all jurors are present. The courtroom is yours.
Mr. Contreras.
Your Honor, the plaintiff rests his case in chief.
Okay, thank you. Is there a motion?
No, Your Honor, not at this time.
Okay, thank you.
Do you want to explain to the jurors what this?
Well, okay, so now that the plaintiff has rested, if the defense believes and can convince the court that the plaintiff on the case just did not prove their case, and so as to take it away from you, the defense could ask me to dismiss the case, move for a directed verdict, saying that, hey, you've heard what he had to say, he still doesn't win. But that motion is not made. I would have denied it because—
On second thought, Your Honor, I would like to make a motion for directed verdict. I don't think they proved their case.
That motion will be denied. Let's see what the other witnesses have to say. Okay. So who's your next witness?
Your Honor, at this time, the defense would like to call Mr. Frank McCool to the stand.
Okay. Mr. McCool, would you raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God? Thank you. Please speak loudly and slowly into the microphone. State and spell your name for the record, please.
It's Frank, F-R-A-N-K, McCool, M-C, capital C-O-O-L.
Good afternoon, Mr. McCool. How are you today?
Oh, I'm just great, thank you.
Great. Are you the owner of the Los Angeles Dodgers?
I am.
And when did you become the owner of the Los Angeles Dodgers?
In 2012.
As the owner of the Los Angeles Dodgers, do you care about the safety and security of the fans that attend games at Dodger Stadium?
Of course. That's of paramount importance to any sports franchise owner, me included.
And you heard the testimony from Mr. Sharam, who sat here in the court. Is it true that you sacrificed the safety of Dodgers fans so you could line your own pockets and make more money for yourself?
Well, objection, Your Honor. Leave.
Sustained.
Mr. McCool, you heard the testimony from the witness here, Mr. Sharam, where he suggested that you lined your pockets and sacrificed safety at the stadium. What do you have to say to that?
Billy's a nice guy. I've always liked him. He's a kind of an angry fellow. It's the first time I ever saw him without his sunglasses on was today. I've known him for 9 years. So he wasn't involved in the budgeting at all. He wasn't someone that we consulted relative to the money. The money is the money, and how you spend it is the province of people that are experts at it. And because safety is such a paramount interest to the Dodgers, we've led baseball for the last 11 years in a row in attendance at Dodger Stadium. It is not a scary place to come, according to probably in part you guys. But it's extremely important. He doesn't understand how that money's redistributed to accomplish the goals we need to accomplish at Dodger Stadium.
But when you became the owner of the Dodgers, were there changes that were made to the security at the stadium?
Gradually, there are still changes that are made. It's called progress, and it's based on statistics primarily from other major league franchises that are in an urban area. Dodger Stadium is in the city. Yankee Stadium is in the city. The Padres are in the city. So you look at other similarly situated franchises, you study their statistics, and you conform to those and try to exceed them, and that's what we do.
Was the purpose of those changes in any way to save money?
No, just the opposite. We're not terribly worried about money with the Dodgers. We have over 4 million people come to that stadium every year, average about 50,000 people per game. So money's not an issue.
As the owner of the Dodgers, are you personally responsible for coming up with security plans and implementing security, or do you hire experts to do that?
Ultimately, I am responsible for all of it. But in order to get it all done, you get experts in the particular areas that you need addressed. You meet with them, you hear what their plan is, you understand what data they're basing it on, and then you make a decision from there. And that's my role in it.
And speaking of experts, do you know someone by the name of Mr. Monterena?
I do.
And who is that?
Mr. Monterena is the head of security for the Dodgers now, took over for Billy Sherram.
And was Mr. Monterena someone you brought on board, or was he there when you purchased the Dodgers?
I brought him on board.
Okay. And why was it that you wanted to bring Mr. Monterena onto the Dodgers team?
So Billy Sherram, I should probably call him Mr. Sherram in this context, I'm sorry, came from the LAPD. He was an active police officer in Los Angeles without any experience in management of big crowds. We just put him in there. We had the shooting death of a fan in the parking lot in 2014. You heard that. And so we were always looking for ways to improve. Mr. Monterena has 30 years. He's a former Secret Service agent, was responsible for the president's life. He has 30 years in the business of crowd control and safety in professional sports franchising. He worked 8 years for the New York Yankees, running Yankee Stadium. He worked, I think, 5 years for the Cleveland Browns. That stadium, too, is right downtown Cleveland. And he's just got a ton of experience at analyzing the situation and making it as safe as possible for people to come out and enjoy the baseball game.
So you felt at the time that you hired him, he was excellently qualified to improve security for Dodger Stadium, correct?
You could argue there may be one person more qualified than he is in all of professional baseball for that job. He's extremely well qualified.
And the jury heard testimony that Mr. Monterena had a suggestion to reduce the number of uniformed LAPD officers and substitute them with, in part, LEOs. Did you hear that testimony?
Yes, I did.
And are you familiar with what happened with respect to that?
I'm very familiar with it.
Okay. Can you explain to the jury what the thinking was behind reducing the number of uniformed police officers?
Yes. Sometimes there's as much danger in uniformed police officers as there is safety. They can create some problems. And so I asked Mr. Monterena, hey, analyze this and make sure we're making the best use of the money that we're dedicating to taking care of the fans at Dodger Stadium. And his analysis was we can reduce the number of uniformed police officers, put in law enforcement officers, those are trained law enforcement officers, in their place, and we can increase the number of security. So that particularly at this game that's at issue in this courtroom, we had 202 people. When compared to any other stadium in baseball, that's about 30 more security people on board to take care of safety at that stadium on that day.
So just to be clear, reducing the number of LAPD officers at the stadium did not reduce the number of security officers present in general, correct?
Nor the money spent on security in general. We added cameras, we added lights, we added transportation for the officers to move around. It's a big job when 56,000 people leave the stadium at 8 o'clock at night after a late game 2-1 victory. You may remember that was the outcome of that game. And you've got to make sure everybody gets out safely out of the ballpark, and then you got to get out to the parking lots and the perimeters to take care of people out in those areas as well.
So the measures that we discussed here, adding the golf carts, security cameras, substituting other security as opposed to LAPD uniformed officers, did that result in a reduction of cost to Dodgers security?
It's just the opposite. And I know Mr. Sharam was aggravated about that. He was popular amongst the Rampart division of LAPD because he had those jobs available.
Objection, Your Honor. Non-responsive. Move to strike.
Motion to strike granted.
Are you aware of the Dodgers Fan Awareness Initiative?
Yes.
And what is that?
That's the initiative we saw earlier toward the tail end of Mr. Sharam's testimony about what Mr. Monterrey wanted to do.
Just a moment. Could we put up Exhibit I, please? It's already been admitted into evidence. Is this what you're referring to?
I was, yeah.
Okay.
Mr. Monterrey wanted to make it available to try to utilize the fans to help us help them. And this was the program that he implemented. And I mean, if you look at the statistics associated with when we put it into use and when it came out, and when actually it's still in use, the safety measures have been improved. It's a great program.
And are you familiar with the impact that these changes Mr. Monterrey suggested and implemented had on security at Dodger Stadium?
I think it's gotten better every year.
And based upon what you've seen and what's been reported to you, security has improved since these changes?
Yes, that due to Mr. Monterrey's input.
Do you have a code of conduct for Dodgers fans?
Yes.
Can you tell us what that's about?
It's what you would imagine. I mean, the most fundamental thing people forget that code of conduct addresses is there's kids at these games. And we want their families to come with them. That's part of the deal with what Dodger baseball is all about. And so you want behavior to be in accordance with that. And that's broken down into 6 or 7 categories: no foul language, no this, no that, no the other thing. But all of it amounts to the same thing. Knock it off. If you won't act that way in front of a 7 or 8 year old child, then you shouldn't act that way at Dodger Stadium.
So do you expect Dodgers fans to conduct themselves in a certain way to promote safety and security for everyone in attendance?
We do, but I mean, it's a professional sporting event. Things happen, so you got to be prepared when they do.
There's been some discussion about half-price concessions. You were here, you heard that?
I did.
Okay. Is it true that for a period of time during a game, there would be some half-price concession, including at the game at issue?
We did it occasionally over the course of the year. Opening day is a good day. It's not to sell tickets. 56,000 people are going to show up at opening day against the Giants following the Giants winning the World Series every year, whether you have a special or not. It's just to make it more comfortable for the families and more enjoyable and more memorable. That's the point.
And with respect to the half-price concessions, does it include things other than alcohol?
It includes everything. Everything at the concession stand.
And is there anything you do to try to minimize the amount of alcohol that people might drink as the game is over, as the game is coming to an end?
Well, that's part of the concession folks and part of the security folks who have combined to kind of come up with a plan of who when you don't serve someone, under what circumstances, you manage those situations. So I don't do that personally, but that's something that we address as an organization.
Are you aware of when alcohol is no longer served, like what inning they stop serving alcohol?
It goes from the second inning to the fifth inning, so it's a 3-inning process.
Do you believe that the security at Dodgers Stadium on April 1st, 2021, the day of this incident, was adequate and effective?
Objection, Your Honor, lacks foundation, may call for speculation, and may call for an expert opinion.
How do we rephrase, counsel?
What is your view as to, based upon everything you know, your meetings with Mr. Monterena, your understanding of what the security was, based on what you testified to, do you believe that security was adequate and safe on April 1st of 2021?
Objection compound.
Sustain. But I'll allow it.
Okay. Go ahead, Mr. McCool.
Sure. I believe when you take the security plan that was in place that day at Dodger Stadium and compare it to every other sporting franchise in baseball, it was superior to all of them. Did an incident happen that day? It did. It was an isolated incident in 2021, and it was tragic. There's a lot that happens when those two rivals get together, and when you start saying only fat chicks are Dodger fans or Code Red.
Objection, Your Honor. Non-responsive.
Sustain.
So, Mr. McCool, some people might wonder, how can you say that security was adequate on that day when this incident happened? What do you say to that?
Sometimes you can't prevent those incidents. Even Billy Sherm agrees with me. There was a person killed on his watch, and according to him, that was something that couldn't be prevented. I don't know how you separate this from that.
Thank you, Mr. McCool. I have no other questions.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Contreras, cross-examination.
Good afternoon. How are you?
Good afternoon. I'm fine.
Thank you for being with us today. Now, you would agree that on the day in question, opening day, April 1st, 2021, you were the owner of the Dodgers.
I was then and I am now.
All right. Now, as the owner of the Dodgers, you would agree that one of the responsibilities is to oversee the safety and security of the stadium?
Sure.
All right. And you would agree that the Dodgers are ultimately responsible for the safety and security of fans within the stadium?
Ultimately responsible for doing that which is done across the board in the industry to take care, to do our best to take care of and make a pleasant place for fans, sure.
Okay, now Dodgers versus Giants. You would agree that that is a very, very heated rivalry.
I don't know about very, but it's a great game.
Well, this rivalry has existed since the 19th century. Wouldn't you agree?
Wouldn't I agree that the Giants-Dodgers rivalry has existed since the 19th century?
Yes.
When they were both in New York, yeah, I would agree to that.
All right, and this is a long-time rivalry, true?
Like many others, that is true.
All right, now, in the opening day in question recently, prior to it, the Giants had actually won the World Series, true?
Won the World Series a year before, right?
All right, and so for the opening day in question, then you had the Dodgers playing the Giants in this rivalry at Dodger Stadium where the Giants had just won the World Series, true?
Great game.
All right, and so there was news that Giants fans were going to travel from San Francisco and all over the world to Dodger Stadium to support their team, true?
There was news about that? I don't know. That was something we anticipated for sure.
All right, and now, isn't it true that there was also news that Giants fans were going to fly Giants banners across Dodger Stadium to antagonize Dodger fans?
I don't know if there's any news to that effect.
As the owner, you didn't know that?
You're telling me it's a fact. I don't know it, and I'm not sure it's even true.
All right. Now, alcohol. I want to talk to you about alcohol. Alcohol is served at Dodger Stadium, true?
True.
you would agree that in the course of a season, alcohol revenue for the Dodgers is approximately $1 billion.
$1 billion?
Yes.
No,
Subject no foundation, Your Honor.
I wouldn't agree to that.
How much do the Dodgers earn per season in alcohol revenue?
I don't know.
You don't know as the owner?
I don't.
But you would agree it's millions of dollars.
I don't know how much it is.
All right.
No,
Now,
I'm not going to stop doing it, if that's what you're asking.
Thank you, sir. But you would agree that violent incidents occur at Dodger Stadium which are contributed by alcohol?
Yes, I would agree to that.
Okay. And here, the opening day in question was a midweek game, true?
Yes.
All right, so I would like to publish Exhibit E, if I may, Your Honor.
Any objection?
No objection, Your Honor.
Exhibit E will be received.
Okay, sir, so may I cross the wall, Your Honor? Or I'll go around if it's okay. That's fine. This is the promotion in question, true? This was what was promoted to all Dodger fans prior to the opening day in question. Half-price drinks, food and drink, true?
This was on the internet.
For everyone to see.
Whomever wanted to access it.
Okay, and so it was a conscious decision by the Dodgers to promote half-price beer, alcohol,
Right.
on opening day with this heated rivalry in this type of environment, true?
Yes, that is true.
All right, now, you mentioned a very tragic incident with my client, true?
Did I mention that? Yes.
Did you keep up with the case?
Yes.
And you are aware that individuals were criminally charged?
Yes.
And you were familiar with the proceedings?
Yes.
Okay, and so you are aware that at the criminal sentencing, one of the defendants said, quote, "I was drunk, Judge. I drank too much beer at the game. I wasn't myself that day." You remember that?
Objection, hearsay.
Oh, wait. Overruled.
Just before he was sentenced to 8 years in jail.
All right, so you would agree that the defendant blamed alcohol for his decisions?
Yeah, the guy who went to jail for 8 years was saying I was drunk. Yes, that did happen.
All right, now I want to talk to you about prior crime. You mentioned there was a shooting that occurred.
2014.
You were the owner then?
I was.
Okay, so it also happened under your watch as the owner, true?
I just became the owner.
Okay.
But
so
yeah, that is true.
Okay, so you would agree then that at Dodger Stadium there's a history of violent crime occurring there?
There's a history of violent crime occurring everywhere in Los Angeles, but it happens at Dodger Stadium from time to time, yes.
All right, and you would agree that there was somewhat of a gang presence at Dodger games?
I don't agree to that.
Okay. Well, isn't it true that after the 2014 shooting, you still didn't allow LAPD to patrol within the stadium?
Right, they patrol the perimeter. That's where the arrests take place.
Okay, so
that's where this arrest took place.
Okay, so LAPD does not patrol anywhere inside of the stadium, including the parking lot?
Correct. That's true of every Major League Baseball park.
Only the perimeter outside?
Outside the park, yeah.
Okay, now you did mention Mr. Sharam. He was your prior security chief, true?
True.
All right, and isn't it true that while Mr. Sharam was still with the Dodgers, he was instructed to remove 25 police officers?
To phase down 25 of the uniformed police officers and replace them with law enforcement officers that were not in uniform.
And isn't it
That
true
is true.
that in response to the removal of officers, Mr. Sharam told the Dodgers that this would be suicide or disaster?
You mean the memo that he wrote?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Now, prior to the opening day in question, Mr. Sharam resigned from his position, true?
True.
And isn't it true that it took you well over 6 months to replace the security chief?
It took about 3.5 months.
All right.
In the off season.
Okay, and so I would like to publish the memorandum in question from Mr. Sharam. Sir, are you familiar with this memorandum?
Yes.
And you would agree that this memorandum was issued to you on June 11, 2020, prior to opening day by Mr. Sharam?
Yeah, about 8 or 9 months prior to opening day.
All right. With respect to this Stadium Watch program that you implemented, this is something that you said was a security measure that was effective?
Yes.
And this is something you rely on to keep the stadium safe?
It helps.
All right. I would like to publish Exhibit I, if I may.
Go ahead.
This is what's posted throughout the stadium as the Stadium Watch system or program.
There's a telephone number that's not visible on what you're showing there, but yes, there's a line through it, but there's a telephone number that they could text.
And you expect fans to call this number, call or text this number?
I expect that option's available to them, and some of them will go ahead and exercise that option.
Okay, but you can't even see the number that's here.
I can't see the number on your exhibit, but that's not how it looks in the stadium.
Are you sure?
Yes, I'm
All
positive.
right, but here, isn't it true that a full number isn't even displayed?
Somebody crossed it out.
Well, no, there's like little asterisk marks in the first three numbers. True?
I can't tell you what number I'm supposed to text looking at that sign, if that's what you're asking me. That's not the sign that's in the ballpark.
Okay, well, if you don't even know what number to text, how are fans supposed to know what numbers to text?
Objection, argumentative.
Sustain, stop, wait. Argumentative, sustain. Next question.
All right. Now, sir, you would agree that opening day...
Hold on, counsel, hold on. I'm making an observation. Yeah, you know who I'm talking to. I'm making an observation that, you may not be so, maybe you're not interested in law. Maybe you have some other ideas about what you want to do with your life. But don't miss out on this opportunity to interact with some of the best lawyers in town and to experience something that really might make a difference in your life for those who may be motivated. And it is very disrespectful to not be paying attention to these presentations. I've had to indicate to people to stay off their phones. You've got to appreciate what an awesome opportunity this is to experience this. And these people are volunteering their time so that you can be exposed to this. So yeah, I'm going to personally encourage you to take advantage of this and not miss out on something that could change your life. I know it's going to change somebody's life who's paying attention. But I come from the old school where I have expectations. And I'm not just going to let you just do whatever. Because I know there's so much more that you can do, and I'm going to raise the bar so that you can be excellent. Okay? Go ahead, counsel.
Thank you, Your Honor. Just a few more questions about this posting, this Stadium Crime Watch posting. Isn't it true that this is the document that was produced by your lawyers in the course of this case?
I don't know where you got that.
Well, were you here for the opening statement?
Yes.
Okay. Are you aware that your attorneys have been using this exhibit?
Just going to object, Your Honor, improper line of questioning.
Argumentative, sustain.
An argumentative, yes.
All right. Now, isn't it true that following the incident in question, that the Dodger Stadium officials reviewed all communications made to the fan awareness hotline?
No reports were made of that incident on that hotline that day.
Right, so there was a review done by the Dodgers of this hotline, and it was found that no reports at all were made.
No reports were made.
No reports were made at all, despite it was the Dodgers versus the Giants in a rivalry in opening day after the San Francisco Giants had just won the World Series. No reports.
Yes, that's right. There were no reports.
Okay. Now, would you agree that on opening day there was a pre-game security briefing?
There was.
All right, Your Honor, I'm identifying for the record Exhibit D, an agenda for the security briefing.
Any objections?
No objection, Your Honor.
Exhibit D will be received.
Sir, have you seen this document before?
Yes.
Okay. Now, this is the agenda by the security in terms of the pre-game briefing, true?
True. Can you blow that thing up at all?
Make it a little bit.
There you go.
All right, and isn't it true that here one of the items is that extra coverage was designated for the mayor?
Yes.
All right, so some security resources were diverted from the fans to the mayor.
Some were devoted to making sure that the mayor got to his seat.
All right. Now, you would also agree that there was reference to an ejection policy being important because of the half-price beer. True?
Yes, ejections went up when there was half-price concessions, including beer.
Because you know when people drink alcohol and it's half price, they get violent. True?
Not necessarily violent. They just get stupid.
All right. Now, here also, finally, there was an announcement that the Dodgers are requiring their staff to attend a training, yet the Dodgers don't want to pay for it.
Objection argumentative.
Sustain.
All right, here, isn't it true that one of the items is no payment for attendance at training? True?
It says announce next new LEO, that's law enforcement officer training / clarify new policy. No payment for attendance at trainings. You're supposed to be trained. We're offering free training for them. If they want to avail themselves of it, they can.
Okay, now I finally want to talk to you about opening day. Would you agree that opening day is notoriously sold out, where the stands are filled to capacity?
Whether you have a promotion or not, it's sold out every year.
And Dodger Stadium, it has the largest capacity in the entire league, true?
True.
All right. Now, with respect to opening day and maximum capacity, isn't it true that when there are more fans at the stadium, there are higher instances of criminal activity?
Objection, no foundation.
Sustain.
Well, let me ask you this. There is criminal activity at Dodger Stadium, true?
As there is everywhere else.
All right, and isn't it true that at Dodger Stadium, there are more instances of criminal activity than in any other baseball stadium in the league?
It's because there's more people come to Dodger Stadium than any other baseball park in the league. But yes, the answer to your question is yes.
All right, during the game in question, opening day, where this tragedy happened, wouldn't you agree there was an immense tension between Dodger fans and Giant fans?
The same tension there is every year, at every game.
But you would agree that it was a high-stakes game. It went down to the wire, 2-1.
It's the first game of the year, sir.
All right, but you would agree that despite this conflict and tension, there was no intervention done by the Dodgers to intervene between these fan conflicts, true?
Untrue. 92 people were thrown out that day.
All right. Now, you do agree that this case is a tragedy, true?
I agree that the result in this, you mean this lawsuit? Yes, I do think it's a tragedy.
Well, what happened to my client, true?
What happened to your client is definitely a tragedy.
All right, no further questions. Thank you.
Okay.
All right. May witness be excused.
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. McCool. Thank you, Your Honor. Okay. Yeah, let's go right into it. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, you've heard the evidence, and now the lawyers are going to try to tell you what this puzzle looks like. Now, again, what they say is not evidence, and so you are to use your own recollection based on what you've heard in the case, based on the exhibits that have been received, and the testimony of the witnesses to form your opinion. To the extent that the lawyers say something that doesn't jive with your recollection, you obviously are to disregard that. But again, this role that you have only belongs to you. So now we're going to have the closing arguments, and then you'll get a chance to deliberate, and you will tell us what the puzzle looks like. The plaintiff goes first because the plaintiff has the burden of proof. The defense goes afterwards, and then because the plaintiff has the burden of proof, the plaintiff will get a brief rebuttal. Okay, are we ready? Yes, sir. All right, for the plaintiff, Mr. Abram.
Your Honor, do I have permission to move about the well during closing arguments?
Absolutely.
Thank you, Your Honor. This was a disaster waiting to happen. Those were the words from the Dodgers' former chief of security that he sent to the owner, Mr. McCool, when he resigned, because he learned that the Dodgers no longer cared about the safety of the fans. That's what this case is about. It's about the Dodgers creating a dangerous environment. And then after failure, after failure, after failure, after failure, at each moment to intervene and stop this from happening, they did not. Before we walk through what the evidence has shown here today, it's important for us to take a second and just talk a little bit about the law that His Honor is going to read to you. You see, when most of you have seen court and trials on television, in movies, it's usually the criminal standard that you hear. You hear this phrase, beyond a reasonable doubt. And that's the burden of proof for a criminal case. That's the highest burden of proof in all of American jurisprudence. And that burden of proof, although it's so high, is met in thousands of courtrooms every single day in this country. And that burden of proof looks like this in the context of a horse race. I used to go to Hollywood Park with my dad, and he used to have us watch the horses. And when a horse is spanking on these other horses like this, they say, hey, he's way out in front. That's what beyond a reasonable doubt looks like. In this case, His Honor is going to tell you that the burden of proof is a preponderance of the evidence. What that means is just more likely to be true than not true. And in the context of a horse race, this is what it looks like. They call that a photo finish, where you got to go back and you got to look at it again. Hold on, let me see. Who won? More likely to be true than not true. And if you look at that in the context of school books, you make 2 piles of books, same exact books, same weight, same height, and you put a feather on one of the piles. That's our burden, the weight of a feather. Just more likely to be true than not true. That burden is important because every question of fact that you evaluate in this case, every question on the verdict form, you're going to apply that burden. Was it more likely, just more likely, to be true than not true? When you get in a deliberation room, after you pick a foreperson, you're going to get the verdict form. And the first question on the verdict form is, were the defendants negligent? And His Honor is going to give you a jury instruction number 7, and it tells you what negligence is. It says negligence is the doing of something which a reasonably prudent person would not do. For example, over-serving patrons to the point where they can't even go to work the next day. That's negligence. And His Honor is going to tell you, but it's not only one way to find negligence. It's not just what they did that a reasonably prudent person wouldn't do. It's also the failure to do something which a reasonably prudent person would not have done, like not having adequate security. That's negligence. The Dodgers, they open their doors to 56,000 fans. And when they open their doors and say, come in, spend money with us, buy tickets, concessions, beer, alcohol, they have a duty to their patrons, to the fans. And that duty is really similar to a promise. It's really what it is. It's a promise. The Dodgers say, come on in, enjoy the festivities, and we promise to keep you safe. They broke that promise. And they broke that promise time and time and time again. How did they break it? They had inadequate security. We've heard a lot about Dodger Stadium. And what did we learn about Dodger Stadium? We learned that Dodger Stadium has more criminal activity than any Major League Baseball stadium. Why is that important? Because it tells you they have notice. They know how dangerous it is. They know how important it is to maintain not just security, but the right personnel. Not just anyone to get paid $15 an hour, the right personnel. An ununiformed trained police officer. Why is that different than just somebody else with a polo shirt on? Well, because they can sniff out things. They can see when violence is brewing. They can interject. They can stop things from happening. Mr. McCooley, that wasn't his concern. Mr. McCool. What else did we know? We know that Dodger Stadium is in a gang area. You heard a lot about gangs. Why is that important? Because it tells you that has the potential for dangerous circumstances to arise. All of these facts go to what they knew before this day. A man was shot and killed in 2024. What defense try and say? They try to say, hey, well, so what? That was under the past securities. That goes to notice. That's even more so the fact that we know, that they know. They know they should have maintained the security and if not, had more. Prior assaults and robberies in and around the stadium, this goes to the same point. They can't sit here and say, hey, we didn't know. They can't say that. And since 2010, what did they do? They steadily cut ununiformed officers. The goal was to eliminate 2/3 of the sworn police. Doesn't take an expert to figure out what's going to happen. Negligence. And this is what defense counsel is going to get up here and tell you. You've heard this through trial. It's not our fault. It was a criminal conduct. You can't predict crime when it occurs. I disagree. And in fact, their former head of security, he disagreed. And he told Mr. McCool specifically, 10 months before this incident happened, he said, it is literally a disaster waiting to happen. So they can't say we didn't know. They can't say, hey, this is unordinary behavior. They were notified. And he stepped back. He said, I don't want to sit idly by and watch somebody get assaulted or killed. And if it wasn't for a fan, we may have lost the life of Mr. Smith because the Dodgers weren't going to help. Nowhere around. We've talked about what we knew about Dodger Stadium and the Dodgers and how that was required to have the proper security and personnel. But let's talk about the heightened risk of this particular game that elevated the risk, that made it more so that the Dodgers should have hired more personnel. It was opening day. Opening day has been sold out, 56,000 fans every year since 1992. What's that mean? That means we know the maximum amount of seats are going to be occupied. Everyone's going to be there. You need the maximum amount of security. You need the right personnel. We know that this was the Giants, the biggest rival that the Dodgers have. The biggest rival. To make that worse, the Dodgers had just won the World Series the year before. Oh, there was tension. When they were buying tickets, there were tension. And Mr. McCool, he wants to sit here and act like he didn't know. Oh, yeah, maybe. I didn't know about the banners. He don't keep up with his team. He don't keep up what's going on with his stadium. Talks about he doesn't know how many beer sales and alcohol sales. What kind of owner doesn't know that? Come on. He's doing what owners do in these circumstances. They try to sidestep liability. That's what the Dodgers are doing. The Dodgers failed to provide adequate security. And on the other side of that failure, they intensified it even more. It's time for calling in sick. That tells you what the intent was. I'm going to come on in. I'm going to get you so drunk that you can't make it to work tomorrow. Come on in. Half price. They knew what they were doing. And instead of hiring more security, they gave away more alcohol. That's what they chose to do. At every opportunity, every moment that they had to rectify the circumstances, to reduce the tension, to do something, they failed. Now, Mr. McCool, he did mention one thing. He said, hey, there were 92 ejections from the stadium. They just pushed him out into the parking lot. That's where they ejected him to. What happens when angry fans just go to the parking lot? They lie in wait. I got to wait and get that guy I'm waiting for. That's what's going to happen. And who was out in the parking lot? We know it wasn't security. We know that because of what happened in Lot 2. The two individuals who assaulted and beat Mr. Smith, they were identified. They were identified inside the stadium. There's testimony from Mr. Whitley, who talked about what happened in the stadium. They talked about how intense the environment was, how patrons were throwing peanuts, how patrons were throwing half beer cups. What'd they do? The security in blue polos, they saw everything. They just issued warnings. That's it. They failed. And so what happened? There's testimony that those two individuals told Mr. Smith inside the stadium, you better watch out in the parking lot. And they followed him all the way to lot number 2, where no one was there to stop them. No one was there to de-escalate. And we heard from their officer who was there that day, security guard who was there that day, and what did they say? He said it was very dangerous. It was heightened that day. And when they pulled up, one of the officers had a red cup, or security, had a red cup. I wonder what was in that red cup. In a hot dog. That's the difference between a security guard and a trained officer who's on duty doing what he's supposed to do. So when you get to question number 1, the answer is yes. Yes, the Dodgers were negligent. And you'll get to question number 2, and I'm going to have to go through this fast because I don't have that much time here. But question number 2, that's an easy yes as well. The question is, was the negligence of the defendant a substantial factor? And substantial, by the way, is not the way we use it in our regular term. When we say substantial, it means something large. And that's not what the law means, and His Honor has that in the jury instruction. He'll say it's just something trivial, more than trivial. And it doesn't have to be the only cause of harm. And so when defense counsel gets here and he says, hey, but it was those guys, it doesn't have to be the only cause. We know that Mr. Smith suffered severe injuries. He had to have a portion of his skull removed. He was in a coma. This is an easy yes. And then you're going to get to question number 3. Question number 3 talks about the 2 assailants, the other 2 individuals who actually beat Mr. Smith. And the question is, are they a substantial factor? And we're going to submit to you that yes, they are as well. They engaged in the conduct. The next question is going to be, was Mr. Smith negligent? Mr. Smith did nothing to be negligent. Counsel's going to get up here and say because Mr. Smith was overserved by the Dodgers, because he was drunk, that he's negligent, and that's not how it works. Mr. Smith did nothing. He did nothing wrong, and he did not deserve this. And so we're going to ask you to put no there. And then when it comes to question 6, we're going to ask you to assign 90% of fault to the Dodgers. Counsel's going to get up here and he's going to say, hey, well, they went to jail, the crime. They committed the crime, the criminals. Assign the fault to them. Mr. Smith is not made whole by them being in jail. We're here to make him whole. We make him whole by holding the Dodgers liable. And I have 90% there, and you can put 100. I have a nephew who is in high school, and we let him do pretty much whatever he wants to do because we know he makes good decisions. And when you talk to him, I say, hey, what's the most important question? He'll always say, why? We always talk about that, why? Defense counsel's gonna come up here after me. He's gonna say a bunch of stuff that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Some of it might make a little bit of sense. When he talks about the Dodgers and security, I want you to keep in mind, why? Why did you reduce security? Why didn't you have someone in parking lot 2? Why were you drinking out of red cups and eating Dodger dogs? Keep the question, why, in your mind. Thank you.
No clapping. Mr. Fox.
Thank you, Your Honor. Appreciate it. Good afternoon, everyone. All right, we're almost to the end. A lot of lawyers talking today. This is my one and only chance to talk to you about this case. When I'm done, my friend and colleague, Mr. Abram, is going to get up again. And the law lets him do that, and there is, I'll answer his question, why? Why? Because he has the burden of proof. If you want to take what really is a criminal case and turn it into a civil case, the law says you've got the burden of proving this. I'll answer another of his why questions. Why are you hearing about a criminal case that's been turned into a civil case? Because they want you to award them money. At the end of this is not about anyone going to jail or justice. This is about them asking for money. So they are taking a criminal case and turning it into a request for money. There's the answer to his big why. Now, you live in the greatest country on the planet. We are not perfect. We are far from it. We have an administration right now running this country that I don't agree with, but I'd still rather live here instead of anywhere else in the world. We are not a perfect country. But you know what's great about our country? All of you have the right to vote when you turn 18 and vote for whoever you want. You have the freedom of speech. You have the freedom to practice whatever religion you want to practice, and the government can't tell you no. You have the right to come and go as you want, and especially once you become adults, you can live where you want to live, you can go where you want to go, and you can hang out with whoever you want to hang out. Right? We have an open society. We're not like Russia, where you have security police following you around and spying on you and looking in your mail and reading your emails. We don't have that in this country. Okay, there's a risk that comes with that, and that we as a society have said we're willing to accept. What is that risk? There's a risk of crime. There's a risk of violence in an open society. And we have said we will accept a little bit of risk that can happen in an open society. My colleague, Ms. Savage, said at the beginning, do we want 56,000 security guards for 56,000 fans, so that when you get up and go buy a soda or some popcorn, they follow you. And then when you go to the restroom, they follow you and they watch you. And when you leave, they follow you. They follow you to your car or to your scooter or to your Uber or to your bike. And they watch you all the way out. Now, I guarantee you, if that happened, we probably wouldn't have fights like this. But that's not the society you and I live in. If it were up to Mr. Abram, we would risk-proof society. Risk-proof it. There's only one way. Think about this. There's only one way you can guarantee there will never be a fight between 2 or 3 people randomly at Dodger Stadium. What's the one way you can guarantee that, everybody? Don't let anyone come to Dodger Stadium. Send everyone home. Y'all have to watch on TV if you're lucky enough to get the cable. Okay? Remember in COVID? Jenny watched Dodger games back in COVID. It was weird. There was a baseball game on and nobody in the stands. Guess how many fights occurred then? 0. That's the only way. Want to go to a Laker game? Want to go to a soccer game? Want to go to anywhere in society? A movie theater? Want to make sure there's no fight? Don't let anybody in. If you fine for the plaintiff, that's what you're saying. We might as well all stay home. 2 guys are at a bar. They're having drinks. One guy bumps into the other guy. The other guy turns around and goes, screw you, no, screw you, pop. That's what happened that night in this parking lot. As His Honor said, this happened rapidly. A bunch of guys with too much testosterone mouthing off over a comment about a woman, punch it out. According to them, we should have been there in between all 3 at all times, preventing all kinds of fights. It doesn't work that way. It just doesn't work that way. I'm going to go to a couple slides in my PowerPoint. At the end of this, you're going to be asked to fill out what's called a verdict form. It's a questionnaire. It has questions, right? It's a questionnaire. You guys get them at school all the time? Tests, quiz, questionnaires. It's got a bunch of fancy legal language, but the first question, go ahead. Were the defendants negligent? Now, you're probably wondering, when it says the defendants, who that is. It should be these 2 guys. Mr. Herman, and Mr. Armentez. That's who removed part of his skull and left him in a coma. Stop and think about it. You get caught up in all this, in all this fire and brimstone of a speech. These 2 guys did it to him. What person from the Dodgers touched Mr. Smith? Nobody. He gets decked and kicked by them. No Dodger personnel laid a hand on this man. No one punched him out or hurt him. These 2 guys. But the defendants they want you to focus on is not the bad guys that did all this. Next slide. They want you to focus on this. I'm proud to be an Angelino. There are certain things I'm proud about. I'm not going to hide it. I am a Dodger fan. I'm a Laker fan. I live for those games. I love going home when I can take off this suit and sit down and watch. And I'm proud of these Dodgers. These Dodgers who have won back-to-back World Series to make our city proud. First place right now, best record in baseball right now at 9-3. They've already started again. You should be proud of the Dodgers. Civic pride. This Dodgers, next slide. They're trying to get these Dodgers to pay for what those 2 men did to him. And I ask you, don't fall for that. And my good friend and my colleague here, he's entitled to his own opinions, but he's not entitled to his own facts. That slide they kept putting up of, it's time for calling in sick, it's not, as counsel said, so you get so drunk you can't go to work tomorrow. No, it's call in sick today and come to the game. It's like, hey, there's a parade today. Let's not go to school, let's go to the parade. It was for the day of the game. Not to get wasted and throwing up and not go to school or work the next day. You can have your own spin on stuff, but you can't make stuff up and try to sneak it past a jury. All right, the burden of proof. This is what the burden of proof says. A party must persuade you, let me read it to you a different way. The plaintiff who is suing must persuade you by the evidence presented in court that what he is required to prove is more likely to be true than not true. They've got to prove everything to get to that pot of money at the end of the case. Let me tell you what you will not see in the jury instructions when you get them from His Honor. Here's what you won't see. A horse race. Nothing in there about a horse race. Counsel said, the weight of a feather. You ain't going to see that in there either. That's not in there. That's what the law is. And the law says, if they don't prove it, then you must conclude, you must fine for the defendant. That's the law. If you get sued, you're not going to like it, but you got to show up, defend yourself, and sit here and get, ridiculed. You got to deal with it, but they've got to prove their case. If they don't prove it, the defense has no burden of proof to disprove their claim. Let's talk a little about the evidence. Mr. Abram and his team went out and hired an expert on security. He testified in this case, and his name was Gil Freed. You didn't hear from him today because this was a long trial, but he testified. Before I get to him, this is what negligence is. If I asked you when you walk in the door, what's negligence? You'd go, I don't know, screwing up, making a mistake. It's the failure to use reasonable care. What does that tell you all? Did the Dodgers use reasonable care? All you have to do is act reasonably. All right, so here's what their expert said. This is their hired expert. The operator of a baseball stadium can act reasonably by taking reasonable steps, and a crime can still occur at the stadium. You act reasonably. You have police, you have security guards, you have a system where people can report problems. By the way, these two clowns, do you know they were sitting in Loge 147? If any of you have ever been to Dodger Stadium, that's that skinny level that goes around the middle and it's past third base, over in the left field side. Brian Smith was sitting in the right field pavilion. They never set eyes on each other the entire game until they had this rapidly evolving fight in the parking lot. They didn't go after each other all game. No one reported these two clowns to anyone at Dodger Stadium, that they were acting like jerks. But you take reasonable steps and a crime can still occur. His Honor is going to tell you this. A person who controls property, the Dodgers, is negligent if he or she fails to use reasonable care. I just have to act reasonably. None of us have to act perfectly. That's what the law says. So what did Mr. Freed testify to? Their hired expert? It is impossible to have a 100% safe event. He's right. Otherwise, the only way to do it, as I said, kick everyone out of the stadium, you all sit home and watch your Dodger games and no one ever gets to a game. Let's talk about some of the evidence. The reasonable measures. They increase the annual, let's stay on one for a second, annual and opening day security budget every year. More money spent, more money spent, more money spent, more money spent. Why did you hear that? Why did they do it? Because you heard Mr. McCool say we had more people coming in and we needed to recognize that. I know they don't like that the Dodgers are successful at what the Dodgers do, but he said it. 4 million people come into that stadium. If they were scared or felt unsafe, would you have 4 million people coming into that stadium? Okay, number two. The largest security force for an opening game in Dodger history on the day of this game. Think about that for a second. When you're listening to their argument that I'm going to say it, we cheaped out, we didn't do the right thing, really? That's not what the facts say. Next, number 3, there was a report from Bob Campbell. On opening day, Major League Baseball sends in a rep. Mr. Campbell was the rep that came in from Major League Baseball to basically not spy, but check up on the Dodgers. He's not with the Dodgers. He's going to check and see kind of what their report card is. A little bit about Mr. Campbell. This is what he testified when you all weren't here on one of the other days. He's a former Secret Service agent. He's the senior manager of facility ops for Major League Baseball.
These facts didn't come into evidence and are not in the problem set.
Stick to the evidence, and ladies and gentlemen, you heard what the evidence was, so you have to rely upon that.
Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to tell you.
2 minutes, counsel.
Thank you. The evidence shows that we had the greatest security force ever in the history of Dodger Stadium when these two clowns got into their fist fight out in the parking lot. Why don't I go over to slide 19, given the shortness of time. He says, I'm going to blame Mr. Smith. I'm going to talk about something else. We all have personal responsibility. You're responsible for your actions, right? As adults, we're responsible for our actions. Mr. Smith is responsible for his actions. His blood alcohol level, go ahead, the evidence shows was 0.18. You can use whatever phrase you want about what 0.18 is, but it's drunk. And there is no liability under the law, His Honor will tell you, for serving someone alcohol. You know why the state says it's your responsibility. If you get drunk, that's on you. They're not suing the Dodgers for serving him. And let me tell you what 0.18 is. Next slide, please. Count them. There are 15 bottles of beer there. That's how much you have to drink to get to 0.18. That was his choice. And yes, he has responsibility. Let's stop there. That's good. I'm going to wrap it up, Your Honor. The last slide, go to slide 23. His Honor is going to tell you this. Do not let sympathy affect your verdict. He was really hurt. He's really hurt today. If you could decide this case based on sympathy, they win. They win, hands down. But the court says this instruction, do not let sympathy influence your verdict. So when you're discussing this case, and if you hear anyone saying, oh, I feel bad for Mr. Smith, or he's really hurt, you gotta go, time out. Take that emotion from our hearts, put it aside, use our brains, and decide this case just based on the evidence. And when you do that, and you follow His Honor's instructions, I'm not gonna tell you what to do. I know where that's going to lead you. And then when you're done, you'll walk out these doors and you'll say, you can go home and tell yourself, you did the right thing. Thanks very much, gentlemen. Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. 3 minutes.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Do not let sympathy influence your verdict. The whole time, Mr. Fox stood up here and did that song and dance about Dodger fans, showing you all of this glitz and glamour about the Dodgers and that he's a big Dodger fan. Yes, go Dodgers. He's asking you to make a decision off of sympathy for the Dodgers. You know, when you make an objection to a counsel in closing arguments for making up facts, assuming facts, not in evidence, and the court sustains it, that means he's making up facts. And that's what he did the entire time. And it took me a while. I tried to wait and let him finish. I usually don't like to do that. But it's just egregious, the facts that he kept making up. Talking about the burden in a way that it's not. Can you hit my PowerPoint again, actually? And the reality is, you are here to make a decision on whether the Dodgers are liable. So when he says that there's no law and there's nowhere for you to go to hold them liable for over-serving, why are you here? you wouldn't be here. The court wouldn't have allowed us to waste their time and get this far. This is where that happens. This is where that decision is made. And he talked to you about burden of proof and that there's no burden of proof for them. And there is. And I'm not making this stuff up. I didn't just go home and write out this law. This is number 12 in the jury instruction. They have a burden of proof as well. He didn't talk to you about that. I think we know why, because he makes stuff up. That's what they do. This entire trial, we've been sitting here listening to them, just saying anything. Oh, I don't know how much we make in beer sales. And then they tried to convince you to say, hey, if you rule in our favor, if you make Mr. Smith whole, that you won't be able to go to Dodger games. They tried to make it seem like it's an all or nothing, and it's not. This is a multi-billion-dollar company. He can take one less vacation and pay the proper security to be there to prevent something like this from happening. Mr. Smith, he's disabled. He can't come back tomorrow. He can't come back next week. You can't make a decision and go home and say, hey, I feel really bad about that. He needs some money to take care of his life now. Cracked skull. They want to escape from being liable because they don't care to protect their fans. We ask you, why? He said he answered, but he actually never answered the question. Why did they not have the proper security? Never answered that. We ask you to consider all the evidence. We ask you to make Mr. Smith whole. We ask you to do justice. Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, you've heard all the evidence, you heard the closing arguments. Now is the time for you to deliberate. So you have about 3 to 5 minutes to discuss what happened in this trial, and then we're going to ask for a show of hands to vote for who you believe should win. So please, talk about the case amongst yourselves.
So discuss with the people around you. You can disagree, you can argue, some people saw things differently. Be open and honest about your feelings about the evidence. And then you're all going to vote based on how you personally feel. Don't let someone else decide for you. You have a right to your own decision. All right, quiet down, please. If the attorneys can sit down so we can render this verdict. So the judge will ask you to vote, but it's really a 1 or 2 decision. And we want everyone to raise their hands high. If you're going to vote the first way, and then keep them up so we can see. We'll take photos, and we'll determine who the winner is. But, Your Honor, please render the verdict.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, you had the opportunity to deliberate, to discuss all of the facts, and now it is time for you to tell us what this puzzle looks like. All of those who believe that the plaintiff, Mr. Smith, should prevail, please raise your hand.
Raise your hand high.
Who's voting for Mr. Smith?
Against the Dodgers, for Mr. Smith. Raise your hand
For
high.
Mr. Smith, the one who got hurt. Who believes he should win? Raise your hands very, very high. Raise your hand. You're voting for Mr. Smith. Okay? All right. And okay, now, hands down. Now, who votes for the Dodgers?
Who's voting in favor of the Dodgers? Ooh, this is a close one. Lourdes, sit down. Sit down. One more time. Keep them up. Keep them up.
Hold
Let's see.
on.
Listen.
Raise your hands. If you are voting for the Dodgers,
Raise them high and keep
in
them up
this
for the
trial, raise your
Dodgers.
hand.
Don't vote twice. I don't know, Your Honor. I can't call this one. What do you think? Is it a hung jury?
You know what? Okay, hold on. We're going to do it again.
No.
Hands down.
Hands down. This
Hands
is
down.
close.
Hands
This is
down.
close.
Okay, again. You only vote once. You're only going to vote once.
Okay.
Now, all those who believe that Mr. Smith proved his case and that the Dodgers are responsible for what happened to him, raise your hand.
Yeah, that means you're voting for plaintiff, this side. Raise your hand, keep them up high. Ooh, I don't know, maybe. Did anyone pay off any of these jurors? I saw some different hands up. I don't know, what do you think, Your Honor? Okay, one more time, put them down.
Okay, and last poll, for those who believe that the Dodgers should not be responsible for what happened.
Let the Dodgers win. Woo! I think it's a plaintiff fight.
Plaintiff verdict.
Wait, hold on, listen.
The court finds that the verdict is in favor of the plaintiff, Mr. Smith. Raise your case.
That's the first time the plaintiff has ever won. That's the first time the plaintiff has ever won this case.